The Cleveland Moto Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
All right, welcome to another Cleveland Moto Podcast. And check the board. We're at episode number 342. Light them up. Spin the tires.
Thanks to Dan.
Thanks to Dan. Dan set the board up way early. He got here plenty early. And to my left, we have a new podcaster. Introduce yourself.
Well, in Ohio, I'm Harley Bob. In Mexico, I'm Ohio Bob, so I'm Bob.
That works great. Yeah, the Harley Bob. For people who stop by our camp at Mid-Ohio, Harley Bob and Dan were set up, and everybody kept coming over to he was like, man, who's that Bob guy? I'm like, oh, Dan brought him. He's a real cool guy. And, oh, yeah, man, I love that guy. Man, we got to have him do more stuff. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Fucking cool, man.
I gave everyone $10 to say that.
Yeah, it was money well spent. Yeah, that was good marketing.
My problem with them, though, is every time I'd go over to hang out with these two, I'd be like, I'm just going to stop for 5 minutes and hang out.
Yep.
And then 5 hours later, 3 joints and something else later, I was still sitting there.
You're still right there. Yeah, it's a time warp, man.
Yeah.
And to his left,
Dan Kromke.
Dan showed up tonight on your Triumph, and then something weird happened because somebody rode a Triumph.
I got out Triumph.
Fucking A, you got out Triumph.
Yeah.
You got trumped.
You got triumphed. Yeah, that's exactly it. You trumped. And so to his left is
Steve Sleepy.
And we'll get into that because Steve's responsible for out triumphing Dan. And then to his left,
Johnny Mac.
And
Steve Hofford.
So here's our show for the night, and you guys might notice you guys are going to hear some street noise because we're doing what we would normally call a crackle cast, but you can hear it's a cricket cast.
Yeah, those are crickets.
Those are crickets. It is first, the first good outing in September for us. You're from Ohio. You love September. That's just part of being from Ohio. It's just you love that because you know that means fall's coming, and we get people from Ohio get stupid when fall lands.
And the bugs are dead.
The bugs are all gone. Yeah.
Not yet, right? But they will be.
They will be. Yep. The bugs are going away, and the weather's just been awesome. I mean, it's like crisp 70 degrees. Perfect time to ride your motorcycle. It has been perfect.
You have to be careful, though, when riding your motorcycle in Ohio in September and October.
Yeah.
Because white girls will dash across the street to get pumpkin spice lattes at any time, anywhere.
I don't know if they've actually lit the pumpkin spice lantern.
Yeah.
But it is hilarious that, yes, September 1, it used to be Labor Day. Now it's clearly September 1 when Ohio is like, bring out the orange, bring out the Halloween decorations. Rob was here today building bikes. He works at Lowe's. And he goes, Phil, I just want to let you know, it's a tough day at work today. We got the snow blowers in. He's like, yeah, they had to put away all the lawnmowers and had to break out all the snow blowers. I was like, wow, man, September 1, having snowblower inventory out and present. September 1 means that if you're shoveling your driveway, and you give yourself a heart attack, you've had a very long time to prepare for that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get a handle with care text from his mom?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's having a bad day. You can text your teacher.
You can literally text your teacher. That's funny. Oh, that's hilarious.
Handle with care.
Handle with care. He's having a rough day.
The Farmer's Almanac says it's going to be a terrible winter.
Oh, my. So that's
I've never heard that before.
Okay, so that's the second quoting of the Farmer's Almanac I've had this week. And I haven't heard anybody say boo about the Almanac in ages. And you're the second person this week to mention the Almanac. Oh, we'll let some of this get through. This is going to be great. Yeah, bring it on, boys. Here at the shop, that's Cleveland EMS taking another meth overdose down to our Fairview Park Hospital. That happens about 29 times a day in front of our shop. So you get real used to that. Kind of puts your teeth right on edge. But for those who haven't been to the shop, our shop is right on Lorraine Road, which is, Route 10. And it's a major
The Narcan is flowing tonight.
The Narcan is flowing tonight. Oh, yeah. Narcan for all my friends. But just, not even slightly kidding around. Autumn for Clevelanders is a whole new game. It's just like nobody has to worry about swimsuit body anymore. It's like get into the hard liquor, get into the thirsty drinks.
You speak about Autumn. I just saw Autumn Sabine.
Yeah.
At Meet Your Teacher Night.
At Meet Your Teacher Night.
So there's a shout out to
our
Autumn.
friend Autumn. Yeah. And she's got her new 70s hairdo. So
Yeah,
she's
she
got this.
looks totally different.
She looks totally different now.
Yeah.
You're like, who is that person? And you're like, she changed her hair and she went with the full like 70s do. And she's super cool. Like, we all love Autumn. She's great. And but yeah, she's one of our local teachers.
Well, they were
art
sitting
teacher.
there. She was going through her teachers, and they're like, Miss Sabine. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know Sabine.
Right.
I believe she's a teacher there.
I believe she is a teacher there.
Viper's art teacher.
Same thing happened to me. I recently got some dental work done, and I happened to be sitting in a chair at Dr. Hippler's office. Okay, first of all, his name's not John, it's Opie. All right? Just to clarify. Because I have this guy Bob in my mouth. So this dude Bob's all up in my mouth, like with both hands. And he's like, oh, so you're a friend of Opie's. Yep. And then I went back last night to get some other work done. And or yesterday afternoon, and I had Helen.
Smothered?
I had Helen in my mouth. So Helen was in my mouth and Bob were in my mouth over there, and they both speak very highly of Opie. Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
As long as Opie wasn't in your mouth.
right.
that's,
Yes, we're all good.
$10 well spent.
Yes, exactly. $10 is $10. Fucking root canals. Here's, we're not going to let John play this one, okay? But
By all means.
I'm going to tell you, I had a root canal done by a guy named Dr. Vig, okay? Which is hilarious in
Did
and
he
of
get his
itself.
Vig?
He got his Vig, all right. So my root canal took 41 minutes. Not a root canal in like a one root tooth, a 3 root monster back in my mouth. And he had to go through the bridge to get to the, the molar that's anchoring it all in that was shooting pain daggers into my brain. It took 43 minutes from the time I sat in the chair until the time my root canal was done. Would anyone like to guess the price of that root canal?
Oh, $5,000.
Well, Bob, I'll say $12.50.
No, he's going to just go $1 above.
5,001.
Do you have an idea?
Can't be 5,000.
It was $1,470 for 40 fucking minutes of work. We figured it out. It was roughly $40 a minute. So for $40 a minute, and this guy came and went like a fucking cat burglar. Like, he knew he was getting the lion's share of my entire dental program. He was taking it all. And the hilarious thing is, before you leave, they're like, so we're just going to let you know that your dental care won't cover this. So your out-of-pocket's going to be about we're just going to bill your card. We're just going to bill your card in advance for $760 because we know. I'm like, you motherfuckers. If a guy brings a motorcycle into my shop that's been in an accident, right, and it's been in a crash, I can't tell the guy with the broken bike, well, the insurance company is going to give me $2,300 to fix your bike. But your out-of-pocket is going to be an extra $700 or an extra $1,200 or an extra $1,300. I can't do that.
Right.
If the insurance company says it's $2,300 to fix your bike, I got to fix the bike for $2,300. It's only the medical industry where they're like, yeah, well, the insurance agencies of the world have decided that your root canal is worth $750.
But why is it that the dentists and your dental plan is like some like sub? It's not a medical plan. Like medical plans pay for almost everything, and then they'll take like the procedures like $5,000 and they knock it down to $250 and they take it.
Right, exactly.
But your dental plan, they always gig you for the rest of the money.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed. Why is that?
Because it's dental.
Because they can.
Yeah.
And like, I want to know how they designate some stuff cosmetic.
Right.
Like, I have a tooth that's cracked in half.
Yeah.
It's fucking like I cut my tongue on this thing all the time, but they won't cover it under the plan because it's considered cosmetic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but a root canal should not be cosmetic.
Of course it shouldn't. Absolutely. There should be no doubt in the
Because your
world.
whole head's going to rot off if you let it go.
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious. And of course, people who work at the dentist's office know about all these fucking obscure rules like, oh, well, we really need to take a panoramic x-ray, but your insurance says you're only allowed to have one of those a lifetime.
Right.
So you had one when you were 4. So
New patient when you were 4. When you're a new patient.
Right, exactly. And you're like, come on, people, this is ridiculous. So it is the biggest racket in the world. And as a guy who works on bikes and fixes bikes for a living and deals with insurance companies 5 or 6 times a week, nobody ever would in this industry be like, well, Dan, the insurance company said that it's going to cost $1,200 to fix your bike, but Dan, we're good. So you got to pay an extra $1,200 out of pocket. Yeah, and that's
gap insurance, though. I mean, they do it with cars a little bit. You know what I mean? You have to get gap insurance.
Right. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. It's absolutely bonkers. So tonight, I did want to call attention to, it's probably in the back of the shot, way in the back of the shot. There's a beautiful kind of a cherry burgundy over silver British motorcycle back there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with that, man? That's it's kind of a pretty looking bike.
Yeah.
It's got spokey wheels.
Yep.
It's got one too many cylinders.
Just in case.
Tell us about your deal back there, Steve.
So it's a 2000 Triumph Thunderbird. And it came from a friend of the podcast. I think he's been on the podcast. He's your buddy.
Yep.
The guy that lived on a boat.
So that's Adam Constantine. If you guys go back and listen to the Hurricane Adam podcast, that was Hurricane Adam, who had fled Florida. He was living down in Key West. And he fled, I think it wasn't Hurricane Ida, that's the one that just hit, but it was one of those hurricanes. And he came up here after like scuttling his boats and stuff like that.
And he scuttled his Volkswagen on the way up here,
He
too.
did. He blew up his Volkswagen. So Adam, fantastic podcast guest.
And his B&B.
Yep. And exactly. Right. His Volkswagen / B&B, because a Volkswagen camper van in Key West is an Airbnb.
Right.
Yeah.
And but he came up and he did a podcast with us. And Adam, he's an Ohio person, but he travels the world. I mean, he's in Mexico all the time. Like, he's a good...
Yeah, what does he do? Do you know?
Plays music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he sings, plays guitar and sings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
He's one of those guys. Yeah.
So he does like cruise ships or something? Or
He just he's around.
No, just for the cartel.
Does it pay some money? Okay.
Yeah, but he's like, when he was in Key West, he was down at Sloppy Joe's all the time, and he was, kind of one of their house entertainers down there, and he's just fantastic. And like, when he's in town, he'll play over here at Smedley's, and he'll play at East 185th. He'll play C-Bars and stuff like that.
yeah, he neglected to say that like the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and the funny part is like, I got down there and then he was at his buddy's house. Another guy you probably know, John.
Yeah, we know John.
Yeah, and so like he's Captain Valkyrie. He had like 10
He's got a bunch of
everywhere
Valkyries.
and
Yeah. He's got all the Valkyries.
Yeah.
He's got the Valkyrie Interstate.
And he's got a 1960 something that was his original bike Triumph.
Yeah.
That he rebuilt, and it's fucking beautiful. man.
Fantastic.
It's not Dan Triumph beautiful.
Right.
You're a fucking museum piece, but it's there. It's really nice. But yeah, so he made an offer. I just Chinese scooter money.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pass it up.
Fantastic.
And so I've been hating my FJ09. I still have it, but I've been hating it.
Okay.
And so I wanted a cruising kind of bike.
Right.
But
Why do you hate it? I haven't heard the story of why you hate your
I can tell you a little bit of the story. He rode my Versys, and the first time he rode my Versys, he's like, wow, this is way smoother than my FJ09.
Which
I'm
is
like,
terrifying. Yeah, because that FJ09, that motor, that's a triple motor.
It is. But well, here's the thing, though. For some reason, it has a vibration. And it's not just mine. Because I was worried it was just mine. But then, you go on the forums, and it's not. From about 3,800 to about 5,600, it's terrible. It's
really?
just a vibey mess. It's like right when you want to be cruising on the highway, it just shakes. My hands go numb after 5 or 6 minutes. I did all the things. I tried tightening the motor bolts. I did this and that. I removed the sprocket with the rubber thing on it because they say that the chain ends up riding on that and it causes more vibrations than without it. They got all these different shit on the form, and none of it worked. It's still just a vibey, I don't know. And then I can't. I feel like I'm a noob on it. I can't turn in right on it. I'm sure it's something to do with the suspension. Whatever. I just don't want to deal with it. Like this thing, I bought it to be a cruiser, right? You kind of sit in it. Like the way your thing and stuff.
The seat height's really low on those.
It is.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was railing through turns.
Yeah.
I was like, I bought this to be a cruiser, and now I'm going to be like...
And it gives you a bunch of confidence.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I like it a lot. It's interesting. It sounds like a jet helicopter because it doesn't have a rumble or anything. It's like shh. It's like a whistle almost.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
a lisp.
Triumph is supposed to. It's a lisp.
It's got a lisp.
But they're all like that with the stock pipes on them.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like a sewing machine running.
Yeah. But I can't get rid of the pipes because they're the pea shooters and they're just cool. So you can't.
well, what we've always said about those newer Triumphs is that they're a low energy bike.
Right.
They don't wear you out. They're they're not super fast. They're not super crazy.
Right.
But you can ride them for a longer time because they're just not.
Yep. It's a great and
7,000 miles. I mean, it has, it's not a perfect title. It's
exactly.
It's a legit title, but
it's a title, but it has its blemishes.
Yeah,
right.
The bike fell over in a garage and broke the shift shaft off.
Right.
The insurance company totaled the bike. For that.
absolutely.
So he gave me the part. I have the broken part.
So where in this bike's 21-year history did the shift shaft get broken?
2014.
Okay, all right. So that's why. So the cost of taking that motor apart and replacing the shift shaft would have been higher than 80% of the Kelley Blue Book value of the vehicle or whatever.
But it's just crazy to think.
And the insurance company went, we're not going to pay that.
Yeah.
Its Blue Book value is too low for us to put $1,800 worth of work into it.
Yep.
Exactly.
So that's what they did. So they just.
My R90s are salvage title too. It doesn't affect the operation.
Well, that's
of
what
the
I
bike
told
in
him.
any way.
Nope.
Well, that's what when I was talking to him.
So what gear do you have? Third? You just ride it in third?
No, I have. No, he put a new one on it. It's all good.
And now he has 7 gears.
Yeah.
He's got an overdrive.
No, it's just in neutral.
You
You
got a
gotta.
slot in it, and there's a screwdriver. You have to reach down and.
No,
You
but-
guys are making fun, but when my shit fell off my Buell, so when my M2 Cyclone decided to eject all of its shifting linkage,
Your shit fell off the Buell.
yeah, it did. My shit fell off the Buell. My fucking Buell that I loved so dearly, one night, its Sportster motor had decided that it didn't want any more metric parts anywhere near it. And so my Sportster motor ejected the kind of strange shift linkage on a Buell M2 Cyclone because it needs to make a Sportster have a shift location for a sport bike, right?
Right.
And so it's a kind of a weird, wonky shifting assembly anyway. And one day, without any prior permission, it just ejected itself somewhere on the freeway at about 100 miles an hour. And so when I got off the on-ramp, and I'm getting off the exit ramp, and I go to downshift, and there's just nothing there. And I'm like, well, that's fucking odd. And so I pull the clutch in, as you do, and I coast up to the light, and I'm keep stabbing at the air with my foot. There's nothing there at all. And I'm hoping that there's at least pieces down there dangling so I can grab them and put it. No, it was just the splines coming out of the side of the motor. So I always have a Gerber tool on me no matter what. But the Gerber tool and my left hand are on the left side of the bike where the shifter are, and so is the clutch.
Yeah.
We have a decision to make. And so what I had to do is I had to shut the motor off, and I'm sitting at the West 25th exit ramp, so it's like homeless central. So like
Nice and safe.
while I was there, I was propositioned at least 14 times,
Sure.
Hey, you sell me a cigarette? I'm working on something here, man. And so I had to get my Gerber out and then manually shift the thing into second.
Yeah.
So I shifted it into second, and I was like, second? Yeah, that's safe. So I shifted it into second with the Gerber tool, put the Gerber tool back in, grabbed the clutch, started the motor, and then got to the shop in second gear. No problem, obviously. But then had the trouble, and this is why you don't buy a Buell. Because then I went, or at least you don't buy an M2 Cyclone. I went to the telephone, called every Harley dealer within a 200-mile radius to find the requisite hardware, the parts that came off the motorcycle. Because the parts start as standard and they end up as metric.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's the point where the metric interfaces with the standard. And son of a bitch, nobody would get me those parts at all. Wow. So I had to eBay them, and it took like a week and a half to get the parts I needed to put the bike back on the road again. So yeah, that's when you don't have the ability to shift, the value of the bike goes down dramatically.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. But so the guy was cool. It was funny though, like you always forget about this until you're in these situations, but bike guys are bike guys. As soon as I walked up, within 2 minutes, I'm like, oh, these guys will be my friend. Like everybody was cool. We ended up hanging out for an hour and a half, bullshit and talking, like just having a good time. I learned all about Valkyries.
Oh yeah, you do.
And you're and on this, I actually thought of you on the lift in his garage. He had not only a CX500, but a CX500 with a Windjammer and Honda bags on the back of it. I was like, Phil would love this bike.
No, I wouldn't. Not at all. He would love that bike.
I'm not
Steve,
a CX person. I'm a GL person.
He's a GL guy for sure, but he'd still be
A GL 500 would be okay.
Right, he'd be drooling over it.
Because that's a way different bike.
Oh yeah, totally different bike. Yeah, totally different. That's
different ignition system for the first few years.
Yeah. Oh, a dude called me today. Was very proud of the fact. He's like, "Hey, I need to get a clutch. I need to get a clutch put in or my bike." And
it's real easy.
Like 17 people gave me your phone number, and I'm like, "You mean every other shop in Cleveland?" He's like, "Yeah, pretty much." I was like, "So what do you got?"
So why are we the last shop you call?
Right. Yeah. And he goes, "Well, no." He called somebody else after he got done calling me. Because he was like, so it just needs a clutch. And I'm like, oh, really? It just needs a clutch, huh? What bike is it? He goes, well, it's a Honda. And I said, keep talking. He goes, well, it's a CX500. I said, yeah. I said, and he goes, it's a 1980. It's real nice. And I was like, yeah, but you have a mystery clutch problem. Like, you really don't know what's wrong with this bike. You're just assuming it's a clutch problem. And he's like, well, yo, can I bring it by tomorrow? And I was like, no, you can't bring it by tomorrow. No way. I'm going to give you, you're going to call me back in December, like December 2nd. And then depending on how my December's looking, I'm going to give you a number. And that number will be higher than the value of the CX500. And if you really want me to work on it in December, I might. We'll see how it goes. But like, that's what it is. You don't, you just don't make the assumption that somebody's going to work on that bike.
Yeah. And at least, he didn't like come and drop it off thinking, okay, it'll be done in 2 weeks.
We had 2 of those this week. We had 2 people this week that just straight up dropped their bikes off at my shop with no permission granted whatsoever. They dropped the bike off.
Note.
And I came out, no note, no nothing. And I go in and listen to the voicemail. Hey, man, I dropped my 08 Triumph 675 off there because the Triumph dealer won't work on it. Now, wait a second. The Triumph,
I borrowed a truck to take it to the Triumph dealer. They wouldn't work on it. I found the closest dealership, dropped it off, and got the fuck out of there.
Yes, and I fucking ran away. And I looked at this bike, and this bike was at least 4 different motorcycles. This bike had been stolen at least 3 times, right? And I could tell every time it got stolen, different parts got painted. Yeah. And so I listened to this guy's voicemail, and he's like, "Yeah, all it needs is a clutch cover." Really? That's all it needs? Oh, all it needs is a clutch cover because it won't shift. Oh, that's not a clutch cover problem. Hey, and the motor makes a weird noise. Okay, yeah, tell me more. And I'm listening to this voicemail, and it's just getting worse. And he's like, yeah, and for some reason, the keys won't open the gas tank. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. I call the guy up, and I'm like, yeah, first things first, Triumph will work on bikes that are, less than 15 years old. Your bike's only 12 years old. Your bike's 12, 13 years old. If they wouldn't work on it, it's not because of the age of the machine. They told you it was because of the age of the machine. It's because their mechanic, who's already way too busy, went out and looked at your bike and went, not in my shop.
Not a chance.
Period.
Right.
Not in my shop. And they told you to call me. They didn't tell you to bring your bike here and drop it off. They told you to call me. Well, but they said you'd work on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, buddy. I said, I'm going to send a gift bomb over to Ray. That is something you don't do. And so I explained to the guys, like, look, we're not going to take on your project. You have way many things wrong with this. And I just bought it 3 days ago. And I was like, yeah, you did, didn't you? It still had a Colorado license plate on it. And it had been street fightered, is the nice way to say it. It had been crashed 18 times. And so the license plate was jammed up on the top of the swing arm. You couldn't read the license plate to save your ass. And I was like, so I asked him on the phone, I was like, did you buy this in Colorado? He goes, no, I bought it from a guy over in Old Brooklyn. And I'm like, and the only plate that you have? And he's like, no, the guy let me use the plate. I'm like, well, yeah, because it's a 7-year-old expired Colorado plate. Of course he let you use the plate. It doesn't come back to him. What does he fucking care? Right. I'm like, get this thing out of my shop. Like, come and get this.
I joined a Facebook group just for laughs. Yeah. And it has to be the bane of your existence. It's Cleveland or Ohio 3,000 and under motorcycle trade and swap.
Wow.
And it is amazing to look through.
Oh, I'm sure it's awesome.
Everything that you just described is every other bike.
Every other bike. Absolutely.
Runs perfectly. Nothing wrong with it. Could use front brakes, back brakes, subframe. Like, never been stunted.
Never been stunted.
Much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It has a literal 12 o'clock bar holding the fucking back of the bike.
The back of the bike on. That's the whole thing holding the machine together. So I picked up a score this week. Again, just like Sleepy, I picked up a year 2000 motorcycle. I bought it from the original owner. Wow. His name is the only name ever been on the title. He bought it at Sills, paid brand new cash money for it when he bought it. And he's owned it the entire, 39,000, 40,000 miles of its existence, or whatever it is.
So we know it's from Sills, so they sell certain brands of motorcycles.
That's right. Absolutely.
BMWs is.
Yep, they sell BMWs and Hondas is. Yep, exactly. And so unlike Sleepy's bike, which was, we like to say, Chinese scooter money, this is what I like to call cheap jacket money.
This is an expensive push mower.
This is right. This is a reliable mower money, right? Exactly. And this is a microphone. This is a Blues Brothers bike because this is literally the price of one microphone.
Nice.
And the guy showed up. He wrote it in. And he goes, yeah, I'm done with it. I wouldn't start the other day. I put a brand new battery in. It started right up. I'm done with it. And I said, okay, cool. And it's a Honda VT 1100 Shadow Ace, or Spirit. It's basically the one with the 21-inch front wheel and the 15-inch back wheel, which might be the largest disparity ever between a front wheel dimension and a back wheel dimension. There's 6 solid inches of difference.
They're very, very Harley-esque.
They're extremely Harley-esque. Yeah.
Rubber has to make up most of that difference.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. A lot of tall rubber on those. And but the good news about those VT 1100s is they are fucking hard to kill. Like that thing, he had receipts. He had every receipt for every penny he'd ever spent on the bike at Sills. And he had a valve adjustment done. I think it was like 30,000 or 40,000. So it's good for the rest of its life. And the funny thing was, he's like, yeah, take it out for a ride. And I was like, if I take it out for a ride, I'm going to have to admit to you that it runs probably pretty good. And I'd rather just lowball you. Right. I'd rather not take this bike for a ride. I'd rather refuse to take this bike for a ride and lowball you. Because if I take it for a ride, I'm going to have to admit that it runs.
Right.
And I've had a few bikes this year where I shouldn't have test ridden them because they were so dangerous. This thing had thread showing through certain parts of the back tire, had some thread showing. The front tire looked really good, and it's just typical Dunlop D404s, cheap and cheerful. And I was like, yeah, I'm not too worried about that. So I take it for a ride around the neighborhood, and I was like, son of a bitch, this fucking thing runs great. And it ran beautifully, made no weird noises. It was just fine. There's nothing wrong with the bike that wasn't just a 20-year-old Honda.
Is it?
Yeah, thank you. You know what? There are certain people flying places.
Yeah.
But normally this would be a lot more air traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Is it fairly stock or
It's completely stock.
Oh, that's the best.
It has a Honda line sissy bar on the back.
Perfect.
That's it. One of those little short 8-inch tall sissy bars.
They didn't diddle fuck it.
No, they didn't. There's nothing fucked with on this entire motorcycle. The exhaust is all original Honda equipment. Yeah. Because it is the year that it is. It was made in America or made in Ohio, made in Marysville, Ohio.
Sure.
Super cool. And it came back and I told the guy, I was like, well, you're going to have to tell me how much money you want for this. And he's like, well, I want like $1,200 for it. And I was like, well, you're never going to get that. Like, forget about that. Like, I don't know if you've ever, if nobody's ever showed you NADA and a 20-year-old Honda. No. And he's like, well, what will you give me? And I was like, I'll give you $300. And he said, I wouldn't take less than $400. And I went, you named your price, pal. Will a check be fine? Company check is okay. He whips out the title. Everything's great. No sweat. So I've got and it's the silver bike with the black inserts on the gas tank. So it is everything that a Honda VT 1100 Shadow has ever been. And it's fine. If anybody's bought motorcycle tires in the past, 6 months, you'll know that motorcycle tires right now might as well be made of like palladium. Yeah. Like they're not making motorcycle tires right now, I guess.
They might as well be made of microchips for cars.
Yes, exactly. Nobody can get good motorcycle tires right now. There's nothing available. And we've had so many of our suppliers be like, yeah, I can't get you this, but I can get you that. You're like, okay, I'll take that. But
you can get with this or you can get with that.
Yeah, well, you can get with this, that happens a lot. And usually it's the tire that costs 3 times as much as the one they still have,
Of course.
But it's only half as good.
Exactly.
It's the one that always wears out. The other one you can get all day long.
Oh, yeah. Nobody has any Metzler ME88s or anything that's going to last 10 years.
We might need to call in a dark side expert.
Exactly, yeah. Quick, get Chris Franklin to the bat phone.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea on this particular bike, too, because it's a 15-inch. So there's lots of good car tires that fit on that thing. But as luck would have it, I did check our inventory in the back, and the tire is a 170/80 by 15, that kind of only fits a certain number of cruisers from the 90s, and that is kind of a weird tire. And when you buy those tires, you only buy Dunlop D404s. So for people who don't know anything about tires, a Dunlop D404 has had the same tread pattern since 1918. Like they've never changed the tread pattern on a D404. And it's also the only tire that no matter how big it is, it's like $100. Like it doesn't matter what size D404 you need. It's always like $100 to $120. when every other tire is $350. The D404 is holding down the fort for being cheap and cheerful. And as luck would have it,
bag of motorcycles.
it is the dime bag. Yes.
Nice.
You might actually look at a suit you wore to a wedding once in the 80s and there's a D404 in the pocket. Yeah. That could happen. But it's absolutely certain. I'm climbing through my pile, my tire pile of like the sizes that nobody buys. Right. So I'm ripping through my tire pile because I had, of course, looked it up on my Parts Unlimited, and it's like it says like back order asterisk intergalactic, right? Because that's how long it's going to take. I think September 28th was the first day that they would have that tire back in stock somewhere, right? I'm like, well, I don't want to wait until September 28th. So it's hilarious that bike came into my shop 2 days ago and already it's on the lift getting new meat put on it. And because D404s are they just fall from the trees, I guess. And so that bike's going to have brand new rubber on it. I'll ride it, I'll put a few 100 miles on it.
It's brand new rubber, but it's still made out of wood now.
Oh, yeah. There's no chance. I did look at the date on the tire, and the date on the tire is a 2018.
Oh, that's
so I'm totally okay with putting it on the bike.
Don't let James ride it. It'll be his new. Oh, I like this bike.
Yeah, that's how we lost the Sportster. Yeah. So if we could convince him that he likes the VT 1100 more than that Sportster he's riding, we'll be okay. Who's this showing up? Oh, Carol's here. Carol, this is Carol Hartnett. Carol's one of our local scooter enthusiasts, and her husband, Tim Hartnett, is a bartender at the Tiki Underground, and they're just generally good people. Carol! Hello, sweetheart. How you doing?
How are you guys?
Doing great. How's the COVID going?
It's all better.
I know you're up, you're walking around. You don't have an oxygen bottle with you?
I don't have my heart monitor on anymore. I sent that back today.
You did get rid of the heart monitor.
I don't wear it for 2 days. I don't have any answers yet. My heart rate's still.
My God. Well, you look great. I'm so happy. You're not dead.
Me too.
That vaccine saved your ass. I have a feeling it did. I mean, that's crazy. Oh my God. So what are you up to tonight?
I caught it at the hospital of all places.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, way.
Well, guess what? You know why? That's why you don't go to the hospital. It's full of sick people.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, just grocery shopping. I was heading home. I'm like, hey, my scooter out? No. So I'll bet you about that tomorrow.
That's okay. We can take care of that. Yeah.
Anyway, back to whatever topic you guys were on. I'll go home and pretend I'm going to listen. But
motorcycles are great thing. Of course. Love you, Carol. We'll see you around. Carol. Yeah, the Hartnetts they're super fun people. Like when roller derby was in full swing, Carol was one of the absolute like derby moms. Like she was so fired up into getting young kids into derby, and she's always fantastic. If you ever get a chance, their basement is the reason that Tiki Underground got called Tiki Underground, because their basement was the original underground. And so their whole house is English memorabilia or Anglophile shit. So they've got a full pro level bar in the basement, but it's like a proper like Cockney fucking bar in the basement. It's so much fun. But one of the best things they ever did was they invested in a very, very mid-range karaoke system. And having a mid-range karaoke system in your basement bar, fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of good parties in that place.
I love karaoke.
It's the best. I mean, honestly.
Steve thinks he's going for a Guinness World Record here.
He's going to get the longest ash ever? Go, Grandma, go. Go, Grandma, go.
It's 11 and a half inches. So you're shy.
Yeah.
Your cigar isn't even that long.
The world's longest ash.
Seriously, 11 and a half
How the hell would I know?
This is Bob. That's what makes him so fucking interesting.
You silly man, you.
It's fucking awesome.
Bob's fishing. Oh, I got him.
I got him right back. Yeah.
We're going to call you Captain Bob from now on.
Exactly. Got a big one on the hook. So we were joking earlier about the pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
We've got new copy.
Oh, no.
I love new copy.
Oh, wait.
New
Is
copy.
this going to be officially the Manscaped time?
Yeah, this will be our Manscaped.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I preface this with
Yeah.
we were watching a Manscaped commercial at work today,
Oh, you were?
and it was Zedrucation or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And he's like, "This is the most ridiculous ad I've ever seen." It's like somebody comes flying out of the air, and the dude, or no, it's an army guy screaming at each other.
Right.
And he's like, "I want you to shave now." The guy's just shaving his face. "No, down there." And the guy's like, he drops his pants. He's like, "No, don't do." It was.
All right.
Then they throw a guy on the beach and the waves are coming over him, and they're like, "See, it's waterproof."
Oh, cool. See, and we were worried about them firing us.
No shit. Huh?
That was way worse than anything that's ever
They
gone
won't
here.
fire us for impropriety. They will fire us for lack of performance. That we'll earn it.
Just like your girlfriend.
I was about to say, I've gotten divorced for lack of
Right.
performance.
We know how that works. Yeah. So this is.
And so another quest ends.
I like the way. So no Guinness Book of World Records for you, Captain Ashy. Yeah.
Hang on till next Thursday.
My God, man. Oh boy.
Damn it.
Yep. Well,
Not my fault.
Are you ready there, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's right. So it's fall. Autumn is in the air. The pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins when you're grooming. If you know what I'm saying, make sure you're keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for a cuffing season like no other. Ready to take the leap into fall with Manscaped? Join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto. Cleveland Moto, you do that, you're going to get 20% off, and they'll ship that son of a bitch anywhere on the
Can I do it
planet.
this time?
Yeah, you can point it. It's down there, right?
Yeah.
It's, down there.
Right
yeah.
there.
Right there. That's exactly it. This
I'm going to have it fly up and bite Steve in the face after.
Have it bite him in the pumpkin patch.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto at manscaped.com. It's 20% off and free shipping with Cleveland Moto at manscaped.com. Make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. And so
Your zucchini looks bigger when your pumpkin patch is groomed.
that's absolutely true.
You got to weed it. You got to weed the garden.
That's right. Give her a zucchini to write home about. Oh, hi, Renee. So that is the new Manscaped. Now, I was looking at the female copy because we love the female copy of the Manscaped stuff. So I'm going to rip through the female copy because
This is for the clamscape.
see if you for Clamscape 4.0. Autumn is in the air. The pumpkins are in the patch. Our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure your man doesn't carve his pants pumpkins when he's grooming. Make sure he's keeping things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Ladies, do we really want to cuddle up with a dude who isn't trimmed? Get him to take the leap into fall with Manscaped. Help him join the 2 million men worldwide using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto. That's not different enough. I think that the ladies' copy should be radically different.
Yeah.
I would expect.
Ladies, there's nothing like a finely shorn scrotum.
That's exactly right. Yes. You
Look
know?
at John's face.
Right. Look, when you reach down into somebody's trousers, the last thing you want to do is just can't find the dick. Like
Right.
that's the worst thing got to be in the world when you're just getting nothing but bush. And you're just like, is there a dick in there? I don't know. Is it a button on a fur coat? What are we dealing with?
The bearskin rug.
It is a bearskin rug for sure. So
It's a double standard, though.
why not? What do you mean?
There you go. No, that was a perfect answer. Why not?
Why not?
Could be double standards.
Yeah,
Why
it's
not?
fine, dude. Look, if you want to be Grizzly Adams or, Grizzly Allison, you can. That's great. That's your jam. I tend to not. Like that's my game is I like to be streamlined. I like to know that.
I was saying it from the male point of view to the female point of view.
Oh.
It's a double standard.
I disagree because I am one of those guys that's like sometimes the right girl, you'd expect there to be a proper bush, right?
Greek. No, really. I used to date a Greek girl. Let me tell you.
If she's wearing Birkenstocks or something like that, you're in for it. That's exactly it. But if her minge looks like Steve's face, that's
Then you just grab hold, wrap it around your fist.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of Viagra, isn't it? Steve's face.
Yes.
Hey man. But I can also tell you when it comes to color, if you're down with the ginge, you're looking for minge. That's exactly it. You want to. There's that whole moment where you're like, I don't know, does the curtain match the or the carpet? I'm not sure. If the curtains match the carpet, this could be interesting. Yeah.
But the wallpaper's okay.
The wallpaper's fine.
This face stopping sex since 1971.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I have a T-shirt that says "Beer helping ugly people have sex since 18 something."
Absolutely, guaranteed. That is true. Certainly.
Sweaty, gross, heaving, not really there. Just
So we have gotten a couple of Patreon messages that are fantastic. And I did want to read them out because Josh is one of the guys that we met at Mid-Ohio, and he's on a Harley Davidson.
Hell yeah.
And he says, hey, Phil and the gang finally got some stuff in order, and I was able to become a Patreon. About fucking time. Met you guys at Vintage Days this year, and I wanted to say thanks for the hospitality. There was no hospitality. The dude pitched in and helped. He's straight in. He was like, give me something to do. Go ahead and make fun of me, but I am primarily a Harley guy. I laugh right along when you guys riff on Harley on the podcast. Yes, of course you do. I have a Sportster that you might like since I've set it up to actually be sporty. So the FLH I had at Vintage Days, because he was on that burgundy colored bike, that FLH he's riding, that FLH I had at Vintage Days has ended up not being quite my style. He said he'd actually rather have a real vintage one. So he's considering a 94 Softail, Nostalgia, but I know that you hate carbs. Another bike I'm considering... There you go. Another bike I'm considering is a new 2020 Moto Guzzi Eldorado that's been marked down a couple of grand. Yeah, there you go. So after listening to many of your old episodes, I've heard when you were a Guzzi dealer and when you stopped, I've learned about how the $1,000 in dealer fees isn't actually the ripoff I thought. Though you've often made fun of the Harley dealers being everywhere, you've also said how Zero, having been in business for years with dealer support, is important compared to the startup electric bike companies. With that in mind, the Guzzi dealer is nearly an hour and a half away from me. If I go for the Eldorado, how concerned should I be about reliability? How is servicing at a dealer that distance from me? And having a local mechanic to work on it myself is an option. P.S. I know a Softail isn't an FLH, but it fits my style a bit more. I like the looks along with the function. Josh, you're on target, dude. Plus,
you never apologize for a bike you like.
Exactly.
We all have some weird
Unless
shit.
it's a moped.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait a second now.
Oh, sorry, guys. This is Harley Bob signing off.
Yeah, look, we have a Harley Bob here who rode a Harley.
That rode a Harley, the podcast. Exactly, right?
And hopefully he rides it home, too. You know?
The only bike I haven't ridden in past 3 months has been my Harleys. So
wait, is that a service note on his tank?
No, that's a repossession
he
note.
just dropped it off with a whole list of everything that he's done there.
He's like, well, Phil, these certain things need addressed. But here's what I will say about the Eldorado. First of all, whether you buy a brand new Eldorado or you get a sore dick deal like Chris Smith got, and Chris Smith got a sore dick deal on a California 1400 Touring for in the neighborhood of $6,000 to $7,000 on a bike that didn't have 6,000 miles on it.
Admit.
And that California 1400 Touring has all the bags on it. It's got all the crash bars on it. It's got the windshield on it. And he rode that thing out to Montana and back. And just absolutely, it is a fantastic touring bike. And on top of that, for people who aren't Chris Smith, our friend Kurt Epprecht has one, and he rides his fast as fuck. He loves his Guzzi. He's got an Eldorado, and he rides it aggressively.
I rode with him. What you did too? Remember that ride and that guy on the Eldorado was he's fucking going crazy.
Super fast.
Yeah.
So if you've ever ridden with Kurt Epprecht, you know that dude.
That was him. I thought that was an Indian.
No. That was another time. That was for that long ride to Marietta. This was this was one of the organized rides, whatever, the Saturday morning ride, whatever.
Kurt is a very, very skilled rider.
Yeah.
And he loves having it because he's had several Harley Davidsons. He kind of always has one. And when he got that 1400 California, he was like, this is way faster. And all of his Harleys have the letter CVO after them. So every Harley he's ever owned has been a CVO. And he's like, there's no Harley I can lose to on an on-ramp. There's no Harley I can't get around on this Moto Guzzi. So for real, yeah.
I'm laughing. I remember I left my SSR running today.
Oh, you
Earlier,
did?
I stopped over there after work and I started it up and ran it for a little bit. And I'm like,
was it still running when you left?
I don't know. I must have died.
Yes.
I started mowing the yard and everything. And I'm like, Huh.
You just realized right now.
I'm like, I never shut the
that you had a motorcycle running in Oberlin. How many hours ago?
Several at
like
least.
5 hours.
Like 5 hours ago. You left an SSR running.
Yeah.
Well,
it's empty. Yeah.
We know it's empty
Yeah.
now. The neighbors got to be dying. They're like, tick, 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 tick. First of all,
Now, those kids are like the children of the corn.
Yeah.
All day long around the yard on their
Yeah.
four-wheelers and then jump into the pool.
Oh,
then
God.
all the way around,
perfect.
jump into the pool.
So it's just been sitting out. Nice. Yeah, there you go. Ta-da.
Cool. Carpool
And
get
again,
dirty.
like we say, nothing at Mid-Ohio idles, but those SSRs
It
idle
must have
like
shut
a
up
monster.
before I left. I would have heard it running, so it must have died while I was mowing.
Must
and
have.
stuff.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That is
That's
kind
a
of
fucking
funny.
riot. That's great.
But I left water boiling, making hard-boiled eggs once. My wife called, "Where are you?" In the backyard. I go, "I'm on my way to Lowe's."
And she said, yeah, there's a
I'm not allowed in the kitchen anymore.
No. Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose, honey, honest.
My daughter burned spaghetti.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not because the water boiled down.
Yeah.
She didn't stir it or something, and it burned on the bottom of the pan underwater.
Underwater.
Did she leave it sticking out of the pan and the ends caught on fire?
No, it was the bottom of it. Stuff underwater burned. I mean, how do you do that? How do you burn something underwater?
One of our friends who shall remain nameless, Scott Smallwood, was putting on a rally one year and got way too drunk putting on a rally. And he was having a blast, but like at a certain point, he was no longer running the rally and people around him had to run the rally.
Sure.
And so he disappeared with like the raffle money and, you know, whatever. And we are looking all over for this guy, like couldn't find him anywhere. And Renee and I went back to his house. When we got to his house, he was laying on a sofa that apparently somebody else had peed on. He swears it wasn't him. And then but there was a pot, like we couldn't figure out what all the smoke was in the house. Well, he decided to boil some noodles before he put himself to bed, and he just let it run. So it was a gas range. And we go in there and the house is full of smoke. And yeah, he had literally burnt all the water off and everything right down to the bottom. And it was like everything, all the noodles were getting ready to combust.
Oh, geez.
And we took the pot off, and I think the pot was actually broken. Like,
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, because it melted down and broke. Fucking crazy, man. But yeah, that happens, man. Life gets in front of you a little bit. It's kind of fucking weird.
People die like that.
People do die like that. It's a weird world. But it is super, super fun. And when we talk about our listeners getting in touch with us and shit, and people like showing up, I had a guy show up from Vegas the other day in my shop, and the guy is covered in tattoos. And there's no real estate left on this guy. And he's got a freaking Lambretta Series 1 tattooed on his wrist, like the whole bike, right? And I was like, oh, who's this guy? He's pretty cool. Well, of course, he's been doing the Heat Seized Scooter Club in Las Vegas for ages. And it turns out they're selling their house in Vegas and moving to Fairview Park.
Oh, no shit,
Because,
really?
yeah, because like everything's better, you know? And so, yeah, it's really fun. Super, super fucking nice guy. But he comes in, he's like, so you guys got a scooter club here? And we're like, nope. You don't have a scooter club? I'm like, no, we don't have a scooter club. Well, we're like, do you guys have events? Like, we do some shit. Like, we go ride occasionally. There's enough stuff going on. Don't worry, you won't die. Well, but you don't have a club? No, man, you don't have a club. Why don't you have a club? Because clubs fuck shit up.
Yeah.
You think you're like, oh, this would be great. We should have a club. That's spoken by somebody who's never been in a club or run a club. A club is always one day closer to the day it implodes and makes everybody hate each other.
Right.
That is it. The second you have a club, people have expectations. Well, I joined this club. Oh, fuck you.
Do something for me.
Right. I don't give a shit. Look,
Only 4 people do anything.
I paid my dues. Oh, fuck you. Like that whole sense of entitlement, just fucking show up. We go do stuff. Like this is not a club. This is a mistake that happened 11 years ago. And it just keeps happening. People keep showing up.
There's nothing stopping you from having a club.
Yes, you're more
In
than
fact,
welcome.
if you start the club and organize it, we
Yes.
might join.
Right, and then bitch about it.
Oh, if I join a club,
I'm
any
with you.
club, I'm going to bitch
bitching
about
it.
it. Yeah, guaranteed.
We should have uniforms. Why do we have uniforms?
I'm going to be the reason people don't start clubs.
Everybody has to dress like a Japanese schoolgirl.
All the time, every day, never stop.
The probation period is going to be awesome.
The probation period, yes, exactly. The pledge. What the fuck was that?
I don't know.
That was a motorcycle. Oh, it's that big white parade float thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like Mr. Softy's motorcycle. Like, that is legit. That is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man of Harley Davidsons. And
Why do I hate bags like that?
the ones that are extra long,
Yeah.
the extra tall bags
do
that
not
scrape
like
on the
those.
ground. Again, the idea was take a vehicle and make it less and less and less user friendly.
Yeah, less rideable.
Right, less rideable. So every time you see people like, that's a badass chopper. Well, what makes it badass? Well, the forks are really fucking long. Okay, that doesn't help. And there's no front brake. Okay, that definitely
That's
doesn't
a
help.
bonus.
And it has handlebars that you can
Or
literally...
what about the one that we
Right, touch your
sent? I
thumbs
saw it,
together.
then you sent it.
Yeah.
At the last the
tiller.
chopper show, it just had a single handlebar.
The tiller.
It was literally two handlebars that had been grafted into one handlebar with a throttle on it.
Yeah.
So if there was nowhere to put your left hand anywhere on the motorcycle.
nothing.
Right. Yeah. There was nothing to give you control over that front end chopper fork.
The only way that would have been acceptable is if you were a one-armed rider.
If the dude had and if I met the dude and the dude had legit no left arm at all whatsoever, well done, golf
There
clap.
was one-armed Joe who was a one-armed rider, and he did everything with this hand.
Absolutely. Right.
And that would have been the perfect bike for it.
But the thing is like, okay, so then you do that to a chopper, and now you got all kinds of problems where you're constantly fighting it with a tiller like an outboard motor, which is basically what it reminded
But I
me
think
of.
it only had one lever there too. So
It did.
It had to
didn't
be
have
a
front
clutch.
brake. It had to be a clutch, right? So
Well, he probably had link
one-armed
brakes.
Joe had
So I
his
would
front
think the
brake
clutch
and his
would have
clutch on all in the front, so he could work the
I'm
clutch
gonna assume-
and his brake at the same time.
That's what a lot of guys put like a shorty for like the brake or something.
I'm going to assume that this motorcycle is being ridden by a person with two arms because they probably had a tank shifter on the left side.
Yeah.
They might have even had a hand clutch to be super, like, to give them something
That's
to
probably
do.
what it is. It's probably a
Right.
pull and then a
Yeah,
hand.
yeah, whatever. But the point is, removing your left handlebar only speaks more to this axiom that I've said many times about, like, what makes choppers cool to a certain number of people is how unrideable you've made it.
Right.
But that doesn't exist anywhere in the aviation industry. Like, you don't ever walk up to your buddy Cessna and go, wow, that motherfucker barely flies. You're a genius.
Let's
Like,
take off
how
the tail
cool
light.
are you? You took the wings off, right?
You know what though? If you look around enough and
I want to fly in that plane.
Yeah.
guys that are truly into choppers, even
Yeah.
the big long ones and stuff, like the guys have been doing it for a while. Most of their bikes are fairly rideable. Like they might be long, they might be, but like they.
I've
turn-
ridden a bunch of them. They're not.
You're not doing no U-turns, that's for damn sure.
No.
Holy
But
Christ.
when did customizing a bike like that
Yeah.
become like, to me, a chopper is you strip it down so it's the essence of
I
a
think
bike.
it's-
You know, like it's just the essence of a bike without anything else on it.
I think it's the first time a bunch of heroin made its way over here from like Pakistan or you know, Vietnam. Like some good blonde hash showed up and somebody was just like, yeah, man, just fucking stretch it out, you know? Because I will say I have never, and I have ridden tailor-made choppers that were like factory-built choppers. I've ridden the Honda Fury. It's not a great bike to ride. It doesn't give me the kind of performance I want in a motorcycle. I think one of my things that I like about motorcycles is that if something were to jump out in front of me, I've got better than a car's chance of avoiding it.
Right.
Right. And when you do anything else like that to the motorcycle, you are now giving yourself a massive disadvantage. And in traffic today, I don't know if anybody's driven on the freeway lately. Do you remember when we were kids and we were 15, 16 years old going through driver's ed? I'm going to bring this statement out from you. How many vehicle lengths are you supposed to have clear in front of you if you're going 60 miles an hour?
6.
6 seconds.
6 vehicle
six
lengths,
lengths,
right?
yeah.
6
I mean,
lengths.
we always went by sight. They
Sure.
said 6
Right.
seconds.
Well, yeah, you time tellers.
No, a second per 10 mile an hour. That's what they used to say.
But the
Right.
point being,
Oh, I know what you mean.
if you've driven on any freeway in the past 10 years, you'll know that the correct following distance at 60 miles an hour is 6 inches, right? And it's
Give or
not 6
take,
car
yeah.
lengths, it's 6 inches. And I am a person that still to this day religiously leaves a safety cushion around my vehicle no matter what I'm driving. Because very frequently I'm driving trucks with trailers. And if you don't leave a whole lot of space in front, you could be paying for the car in front of you, and you can't say it's not your fault. But that being said, every time I leave 6 vehicle spaces in front of me, 3 cars dive in there.
What am I supposed to
You
do
know,
with that?
because they want to be ahead of me, right? So if you leave any space at all, NASCAR Jimmy is going to get in there and be like, I got to pass. Like he gets a point for that. I don't know if it's too many driving computer games or what, but it's a damn sure lack of skill. And when you're on the motorcycle, the worst thing is when somebody dives into the hole in front of you and you're like, oh, great, you know? Oh, this one's going the other way.
Returning the guy who didn't have life insurance.
I was going to say, yeah, no medical, going to take you right back to the hood.
Right,
Yep,
upside
that's it.
down, wrong hospital.
Yep. So it's a weird thing. Nobody ever takes, you would never take your tractor and make your tractor harder to operate.
No, it's already hard enough to operate because it doesn't have any brakes. And it's got a live PTO, so it pushes you around wherever you want to go. You can't stop it. It's just like, I'm going to go forward.
But it's not custom.
If it got a little more,
cooler.
if it gave it a little better gas mileage,
Oh, he would do it. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's
Disconnect
that.
all the brakes. Yeah, don't have any drag on it whatsoever. But it is this very strange thing in that community. But yeah, the one-handed chopper was like one of those things I was like, well, we've gone plaid. As far as stupid goes, we can't go much stupider than that, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's the same thing when you see somebody that builds one of those 17-inch or 17-foot long trikes that's got a V8 motor in the front of it, and the guy's sitting in the back, and it's 18 linkages to get out to the front
I was about
wheel.
to say, there's turnbuckles involved.
Yeah, there's turnbuckles. So this vehicle has 26 pounds of Heim joints.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
I had a bike I'd like to talk about, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't know how I came across it, just looking through marketplace listings, motorcycles and everything. But I saw one and I'm like, wow, that looks good. And then I did a search for it. And so it's the Yamaha SCR 950.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be built off of the Bolt, right?
So it's a Bolt platform.
It's a Bolt platform, but they gave it this retro styling and a more upright seating and stuff like that.
I swear to God, it looks like my Triumph.
It does. Yep.
It's a very nice looking motorcycle, in my opinion. Other people would probably differ. But these things are going with like 1,000 miles on them for like $5,000, 5,300.
They've had
all day
no
long.
value. They've not retained their value at all.
And I mean, it seems like a heck of a nice bike for that kind of money. I'm like, if you're looking for a bike or an upgrade to something a little newer or something,
And here's the weird part. Go look at the reviews.
Yeah.
Nobody hated it.
Right.
Like, it's a good, decent riding bike. Like, I remember
They said when it came out, they were like, Yamaha has managed to absolutely perfectly recreate a Sportster. Good and bad.
And fix the Bolt.
Right. Yep. And so that was the Bolt. But you do remember when the SCR came out, we were at the motorcycle show, and there's a Yamaha Bolt sitting there, which is just a cruiser. It's a Sportster looking cruiser. And then the SCR was sitting there, and it was pretty obvious what had happened is they'd raised the suspension up a little bit, put semi-looking knobby-ish tires on it.
Flat seat.
And put a flat seat, which the Bolt seat was already a torture device. Like, everybody who's ever ridden a Bolt has one review about the Bolt, and that was just like, wow. Liza had rented one time, and she was just like, that is the most painful motorcycle I've ever ridden for 30 minutes. And that's, hey, giddy up.
So maybe it's not such a great deal.
But
No, that's the Bolt.
the SCR, but the SCR might be better. We made fun of the SCR because, of course, that was the year that they scrambled everything.
Sure.
So every motorcycle got scrambled. We're guilty of that here, too. We've done it. And the fact that they scrambled a Bolt made us laugh. But then it turned out that the very next year, scrambling Sportsters was going to be the absolute fad of people running Sportsters around in the woods. And then 5 years later, Triumph is now scrambling everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. You've got the 2.5 liter Triumph, Rocket 3 Scrambler.
Yeah.
Triumph is just straight up saying,
Rocket Scrambler?
fuck yeah, dude. You haven't seen it yet?
No, there's really a Rocket
No, I'm making it
Scrambler.
up. I totally made it up because they fucking scrambled a 1200.
Yeah.
I was going
They
to say,
scrambled-
holy shit, a Rocket.
They scrambled a 1200 cc motorcycle.
But apparently they work really well. Like the 1200 Scramblers. They're supposed to be a good fucking bike.
I'm sure they're amazing out in the wet grass and off-road.
Yeah, and especially when you have to pick them up.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that they're not a penny over 400 pounds. Yeah.
Well, I just look at
Yeah.
that SCR as
Yeah.
somebody who's fancied wanting an Ascot. I've always wanted
Absolutely.
the VT 500,
Yep.
not
Yep.
the FT, which I had.
right.
But I've always liked the VT, the
Yep.
V-twin 500. That's like even everything in that plus 450 cc's.
Oh, well, I can be the first one to tell you that because I had a VT5. So I had that VT500 Ascot, and that was the bike that I thought was going to be like my this is the bike I've been waiting for the longest time. Because if you liked FT 500 Ascots, they made a lot of those. But the VT 500 Ascot, they did not make a lot of those. Shaft drive, V-twin, very good motor. Like
I like that. I like that bike.
Until you tried to drive it.
Yeah.
And then when you drove it, you're like, wow, holy shit, does this thing not have enough motor? And
No, it's no torque. There's like no torque.
There's
to it
no
at all,
torque,
but-
and a V-twin should not be a motor that spins, you know? Like it's
But it's the same engine as that Shadow 500, right?
exactly.
With a 6-speed.
You got it. Yep. Same setup, the whole deal. I can't remember if it had a 6th gear or not, but I'm pretty sure it did because I think it was the same platform as the VT500 Shadow.
Well, what's weird is like the Transalp
Yeah.
is almost. I mean, I like that bike for everything.
Right.
I mean, the best. It's got great torque.
Yeah.
It's fast
Oh, yeah.
enough. It's fast, not as fast as John's.
No, the
650 bike.
Transalp. The
Thank
Transalp
you.
was
Thank
not.
you.
Yeah.
You actually admitted it.
The Transalp was never fast enough. You know, it just never was.
But it's torquey.
It is torquey. Yeah.
It's fast up until a point, but it's not going to be Z900 RS. Fast.
No. And
Well, I back to my SCR.
right. Yeah. Back to
I
what
look at
you're
that,
talking
but
about. Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe it's your best first
No.
bike,
No.
but maybe it's your first adult size bike.
Yep.
You know, like real cheap to get into that bike.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
it's not
Big boy bike.
the first big boy bike.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's
I
a
totally
Yamaha.
agree.
It's going to run. It's going to do everything decently.
Oh, it's a Yamaha. It's going to bore you with how reliable it is. It is going to just be like, God, man, people are going to be talking about working on their bikes and you have nothing to say.
Right.
You just can't even get into the conversation.
I've got a fuel injected 950cc bike.
Exactly.
And all of them had low miles on them,
Right.
which maybe there's a reason why everybody's giving up on them.
I got to,
Or maybe
we've
it's
had
just people that bought them and they didn't really should have never bought a bike. You know?
I think it's how they were
Right.
marketed. I think they were marketed to a lot of people that maybe weren't really motorcyclists and thought they were going to be into it.
Yep.
And they weren't.
And they did a Kawasaki Bolt, and they did a Kawasaki, not the Mean Streak, but they did one that was a modular bike that you would basically go to your dealership and sit on it, and they would, basically build the bike out for you with different pegs, different handlebars, and they were making the motorcycle very approachable to women and smaller men, so that you could be like, look, this motorcycle is actually kind of built for me. So it's, order it as the bike and then order in the right sized bars and pegs and everything else to get the fit perfectly right for you. I would definitely not say it's a bad bike. Yeah, never. But we've had a couple of them come through the shop and I've ridden them as bolts. We've not had an SCR come through the shop and I've ridden them as bolts and I got off of them and I was like, well, people were really harsh about the seat. But remember, Harley Davidson had that Harley Davidson 48, which was just fucking God. When they called that, when Harley did that and they did the Iron, they named those bikes right. Not since the Mad Ass has there been a bike named so fucking appropriately. That both of those Harleys are just miserable to ride because you're like, oh look, there's a bump on the road, like a 1-inch bump on the road. You hit that and you're like,
That's
what
twice
the
as much as
shit?
my suspension.
Exactly. And we couldn't believe it. We thought that the 148 that we had come in, we thought the guy had fucked with it and put on some shorter shocks because the first time I hit like...
Well, the 48s have those gators that are this big.
Yes.
They're like...
Yeah. They go 1 inch. Like I think the suspension travel on the back of a 48 might be actually 2 inches.
Like the little buffers whenever you have the tow hitch that has the little extra hydraulic things. It's like...
That's all it is. I think 2 inches might be giving it credit for how bad the suspension was on the 48. It was fucking awful.
My America came with like the shittiest rear shocks.
Oh, it did?
It was either like riding a hardtail
Yep.
or it was bottoming out.
Bottoming out constantly. Yeah.
Boing.
You couldn't adjust it right.
You didn't matter where you set it. It just rode for shit.
And that is something that certain motorcycle manufacturers are famous for, is we're going to give you something on the bike that you buy that needs to be replaced. Right. And they just like, hey, look, we gave you a great bike at a cheap price. Don't ask us how we did it. And, you're like, oh, do you want to get the same tires they gave you from the factory? No, I don't want those. Turns out you'll never ever buy a second pair of Kendas. Like you'll take the tires that came on your bike or some IRC or whatever bullshit the factory gave you. And that was just to get you out the door. And the brakes are usually suspect too. And I think that's always with every big name motorcycle. You usually come out of the box and you're like, oh, okay, well, I got to fix the brakes. I got to fix the suspension. I got to fix the seat, and I got to fix the tires. But then you got another $3,000 into the bike. You know, on a good day, you got $1,000 into it.
Well, on the bright side, if you bought a used one that cheap, then you do have some wiggle room to make it right.
If anybody out there has an SCR, I'd be interested to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you $1 more than John gives you for it.
They're asking $5,000, so $4,500 says it's coming home.
I do have a feeling that's going to be a bike that's going to. I think that bike's going to be the right side of $3,500 real soon, because they just don't seem to have held their value at all, and you can't ask for a better motor, because Yamaha has done magical 900 plus cc V twins forever, you know, so they've always had good V twins.
I had an 81 920 Virago.
Yeah.
I put like 28,000 miles
and it's a great fucking bike. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those ones that when you drive past a very reflective window, like a shop window, you don't always want to look over and see yourself on it, because the styling was very 1981. Like
Absolutely.
it was the peak of, if you squint and hold your head just right, you might be fooled into thinking it was a Sportster.
People actually said that, and I'd go, yeah, no, I'm poor. It's a Yamaha.
But the frame gusset always got me on those bikes.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
weird frame gusset.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't think in the history of time, any one of those frames has ever broken.
No.
No.
I'm not saying that it would, but it always looked kind of like there's like a space there. Like,
that has been, historically speaking.
This bike has been wrecked 17 times. It's been through 17 sets of forks, but never bent the frame.
Ever. Yeah, that is a very real thing. And we've got motorcycles here that we know if a certain particular model or make a bike comes in and it's been on its side, we know the frame is bent.
That's like the perfect bike for the motorcycle derby.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yeah.
The Volvo 940 of bikes.
Every time we have a Ducati come in, it doesn't matter what the vintage is, but Ducati does not spend one extra nickel on weld or metal when it comes to the frame. They want their frames to be as light as possible. And Ducatis for a long time did build a certain amount of flex into their frame. Oh, yeah. But the downside of that is if it experiences any sudden deceleration, like meaning from the side stand to the ground, it is bent the frame. And we have seen Ducati foot pegs bend the frame. Like we've seen people straight up, big guys, standing up on the foot pegs and hitting a bump while standing on the foot pegs, bend the frame. Like, I'm like, where did you crash it? And he's like, I didn't crash it. I'm like, bullshit, you crashed it. Look at it, it's bent. You can see it's bent. All the paint's coming off the frame. Like, it's bent. I didn't crash it. What did you do? I don't know. And I'm like, you're not that big. Like, you're not a super duper big guy. But yeah, some of those frames are just real soft.
On the flip side, Honda had too much rigidity in their CRF 300s.
Yep.
They had to redesign them
to make them a little more supple.
To make them a little more flexible.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
People were losing their fillings.
That's one thing I worry about, like with the zero frames, that at some point you might get cracking in the aluminum.
Okay.
I mean, because there's not that. You could tell that the thing's super rigid.
Yeah, but it's also, that entire frame weighs like 12 pounds.
Right.
Right. Because it is made out of like rocking horse shit. Like it's 100% fairy dust. And it's amazing and it works great. But we tell people all the time, if you buy a Zero FX or you buy a Zero FXE or an FXS, you do not jump that bike. That is not a dirt bike what you go over jumps on. Because we have seen a couple of them where the neck just completely fucking broke. And the bike just instantly became a chopper.
That one,
Bagel.
Scott. Didn't Bagel buy the one that was cracked in half?
Bagel bought the one that was literally, I had rigged it up with ratchet straps so that the triple was all back where it should be. And I had put ratchet straps on it in such a way that I had so much tension on there, you could ride the bike, even though the triple was completely blown out. Like the fork, the down tube of the fork had completely left the bottom stays. And when it cracked and it broke, I mean, that was a car hit. Like that got hit by a car. So, you know, that's a bit extreme. That wasn't just like shenanigans out in the back 40. But straight up, when it cracked and it broke, you looked at it and you're like, yep, okay, it found the weak link. And it really did find the weak link. There's no doubt about it. So, you know, especially those FX frames, like the FX frames and stuff, there's just enough metal there. There's no extra metal at all. So, yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah. Now they're taking the guy back the other direction again.
Yeah, this is, And mind you, folks.
He forgot his phone.
Yeah, there you go. And this is a Thursday night. And what I will say about this is none of these squads that you've seen are from Lakewood or any of the suburbs. This is purely Cleveland. Because in the daytime, you'll see people on. There you go.
Bike life.
Yeah, bike life. You got like two guys, like one guy's on a Hayabusa with his girl on the back. The other guy's on something else in the similar category, and then their one bro is on the Supermo.
Why are they stopped in the middle? Is there a red light?
There's a red light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got the red
didn't see
light.
the
Yeah, but you know they're going to leave here at maximum velocity.
Oh yeah,
Right.
wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it.
Well, and the thumper, he's got the exhaust that makes sure that you hear him. You know, he's just he's just wailing away over there.
No, they're taking off nice and easy. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, there it goes. There's the wheelie. Yep. That's that whole thing. The dude who's riding with his sport bike friends and he's on the Supermo.
Yeah.
He just loves that. He lives for that shit. He's like, all right, nobody's in front of me. 12 o'clock. Yeah. Today in the parking lot, we were doing graphic displays.
In the parking lot with Phil.
Parking lot with Phil. James got his camera out at one point because I was breaking in a TNT 135 and kind of doing what you have to do to make sure they run right. And that means a lot of wheelies into a stoppie. And if you want to know if you're feeling good about your skill level, do a wheelie into a stoppie in 5 parking spaces.
Yeah.
So wheelie into a stoppie in 5 parking spaces, woo, because that makes the stoppie a lot more important.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that stoppie, you got to fully commit when your rundown area is 17 other motorcycles. Yeah. Yeah.
At the compound, this is a while ago. I think it was one of the last times we were out riding. For the first time in my life, I skidded a stoppie on an SSR.
Oh, you did?
I tried to do a stoppie and it didn't. And the front wheel just skidded for like 5-10 feet.
Yep.
Kind of like with the thing. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, that's fucking cool, man.
And then Nick ran you over.
Yeah. Well,
and then you got ran over. Yep. Yeah, I was doing a bunch of stoppies today on the bikes and doing a bunch of wheelies today on the bikes. And the SSRs are so much, or not the SSRs, the TNT 135s. The TNT 135s are fucking hilarious because I don't care what your skill level is, you will, after you own a TNT 135 for like 43 minutes, you will start doing wheelies on it. And then you'll start doing stoppies on it.
Can I tell you what happened to my TNT 135?
I'm dying to know.
I know exactly what happened to it.
My wife, who's like to the point now where the motorcycles come and go and I don't even get in trouble.
Right.
Like whatever.
She's very used to it now.
Yeah, she's used to it. She was in the garage fucking around, and next thing I know, I see her pushing the fucking TNT 135 out, and she goes, I like the color of this bike, and it looks like it fits me. I think I'll take it.
Nice.
So my wife has commandeered my TNT 135.
Perfect. And that's a great bike to learn on, too.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
She's going to graduate from the Buddy to the 135.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you should do.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, Fernando was in here last night. We were shooting Motor Stories with Unky Phil, and so we had Oscar in here. We had the whole crew, everything lit up. And while we're shooting, I look over and I see Fernando, and no shit, he's reading brochures.
Oh, he's slobbering.
He's reading brochures.
Well, do you know what happened? So we shot nickel and diming, and we used my scooter in the thing.
Right.
And I left it, and I told him, ride it, dude.
Just ride it.
Ride it. It's a Buddy. You're not going to kill it. And so I think he started riding it.
Yeah.
And then he was in here and
well, so today he came by with Jess, right?
Yeah.
And so he and his wife showed up today, and they beat hasty fucking path back to the used corner.
Oh, the brown bike?
So they went back and they looked at that Vespa LXV.
The chocolate?
Espresso. Espresso. The Espresso Vespa LXV. And it's a special edition they did. And it's got a real moo cow leather seat. Like, it's legit.
What CC was that one?
150.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fuel injected 150. And so Fernando's not a little guy.
No.
And so he really did want to make sure that like his wife could get on the back to go for ice cream or whatever.
Yeah.
And now you can't do that on a Buddy.
Yeah, no.
No, you can't. I mean, you just can't. I mean, a Buddy is meant for 2 people if they're Asian and small.
Or a
like
tiny
small Asians.
5-year-old daughter.
Right, exactly. Like a tiny person with a small child on the back. That's what a Buddy's good for 2 up. And a Buddy also, nobody here is going to brag about how strong the Buddy frames are.
No, they flex.
No, they flex. not in a good way. Like, we're absolutely certain that if you're the right guy and you sit on a buddy and you grab the handlebars and reef on them, you could make the headlight touch your dick. I'm absolutely certain of it. We also got really good at straightening out bent ones with a come along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you could get somebody who like went the wrong way into the garage wall with a buddy. Yeah. We'd sit there in the shop and we'd line everything up. Okay, get the lasers out. All right. Couple of tie-down straps here, a couple of tie-down straps there.
Give me another click.
Give me another click on the come along. And we would literally just, and John's been there. We've done that shit and we've straightened these things out with laser accuracy. I mean, it's amazing how soft a buddy frame is. Yeah. But they're not kidding when they tell you like the weight capacity of a buddy.
But they're not brittle.
No, they're not brittle. No, not at all.
They're flexible.
They're extraordinarily flexible. Yeah. They're flexible like a good bus, you know? But a buddy, I think, is rated for about 240 pounds, which is under where Fernando is, right?
But
Yeah, alone.
Yeah, alone. So they came in today, and they're picking up their Vespa LXV on Tuesday.
Cool.
Yeah, so real happy for him. And I looked and saw where we were at on it, like what we paid to get it. And I'm not going to make a nickel off of Fernando. Fuck that. That's his bike.
Cool.
And so they're all excited. They're going to get that thing on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
So super fun. Yeah, it's a good bike, too. And that's one of those things you're like, look, if that bike didn't have a little bit of battle damage on it, it'd be expensive.
Right.
But it's got just the right amount of battle damage on it, just the right amount of character to have knocked the price down to just fucking cheap. I mean, it's sub buddy bunny.
Wow.
Like, yeah. It's the LXV that's being priced like a buddy. So he's real happy with it.
Yeah.
So he'll have a good time.
I'm going to have to take a look at that. I mean, he hasn't paid you any money yet, has he?
Yeah,
Right,
we're
'cause
good,
we
John.
make him- we make him $1 more.
You're going to scoop him. Yeah. You're going to scoop him real quick on an LXV.
Well, didn't that just happen to you? No, that happened to the guy at work. Ben, right?
Yeah.
Ben got scooped on that Harley.
Oh, really?
Oh, what happened?
He found a CVO that he really liked.
Yeah.
He talked to the guy. The guy was out in like Sandusky or something. He said, I'll be out there tomorrow to, get the money and do the title because I don't want to come out on a Sunday and have to come back. And the guy's like, okay, I'll hold it for you. And then at like 10 o'clock at night, the guy calls back and says, I've decided not to sell it, which is code word for
I got a better offer.
Yeah.
All right, I got cash already.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I've made a bad decision
You
and
know
I need
what,
to get out of it.
That's on Ben. Because if you find a deal, you better get there and you better snap it
Boy,
up.
these days.
I'm not waiting. I'm not giving a
trailer. That's
Other
what you
people
bring.
are looking.
Get there. I wouldn't even talk to somebody about. I wouldn't make a deal unless I was standing there in their driveway.
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
Opie's new name is Opie +1 because he always is going to +1 you.
Oh, I've been called Opie-1 Kenobi. You down with OPP? Yeah, you fucking know me.
I'm totally down with that. That is absolutely true. That it is really, really hard in this market. We've had more people come in here and be like, I'm here to buy that bike that you guys had here last week.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've admitted you're a week late.
That's like trying to buy a house these days.
Yes, it is.
You want to tell us about that, Cinch?
How's that going, Steve?
That's good and good now, but
Now you're doing fine, but 3 or 4 houses later.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And the reason we got this house is because it went on the market at 6 p.m. We saw it at 7 p.m. We put in an offer at 7:22 p.m. And we were the only people to see it that day.
Right.
So then the next day, and this is kind of fucked up. So I'm sitting there and like we're stressing out. We're like, we're not getting this house because we couldn't spend an extra $1.
No,
we
you were at their limit.
Yeah, we were like,
They still show it.
no. Well, they canceled them. They canceled them for us. They had 8 showings that day, but they accepted our offer in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm still hesitate. I'm not going to say it's 100% until I have fucking keys in my hand
Right,
because I know how this shit works.
Sure.
Yeah.
But every other time, man, it'd be like you'd put an offer, you'd be all excited. Then the next day, somebody came in and bought it for $100,000 over asking price, cash offer, no closing, or it's closing in 5 days, no loan,
Right.
no inspection, and they'll pay for the people to move. So it had to be like investment companies sucking up houses or something. It was fucking crazy, man.
Hedge funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're buying
big
up
thing now.
private homes all over the country.
It's what I thought was great is Sleepy's talking about when they went out to look at the house. So Sleepy's like, yeah, I went out to look at the house. Got my wife there, got my daughter there, and got the realtor there. And it's pretty obvious, because this is out in the sticks. it's pretty obvious the house is being shown, right? And so as the neighbor, the neighbor wants to have a certain amount of control in the situation because the neighbor doesn't want some cock knuckles moving in next to him, right?
Absolutely.
Too late.
And so the neighbor goes out in the backyard, loads up a magazine in his 45
and just slugs away
and empties a magazine in the backyard
into Steve's car.
No, but it was so ridiculous. Like we're in the house. We come out of the house. We're looking at the property, and I'm oogling.
All right, here they are. Go ahead.
Oh, you know, it wasn't like he was set up and he was going to out do some range shooting that night. Like this was all going to be like, oh yeah, you know, it's the late evening. I got my table set up. I got my target set up.
It was worse than this. He was pushing out a lawnmower to go mow the lawn.
And then he went back in and got a gun.
When I went in the garage, I was looking at the garage from hall and I'm like, I love this. And I walk out and the lawnmower is just in the middle of the driveway sitting there. Yeah. But now he's like, he comes out of the house and he's like,
yeah. He literally went in, got his, he literally went in the garage or went in the house. He got his home defense piece.
Sure.
Took the expensive bullets out, put the cheap bullets in, and gave you a little display.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, if you're like, I hope this scares you away. But it didn't work.
Well, I have news for him. He's going to be interested when I FPV a drone with a 9mm on it.
Yes,
chase around his fucking house.
Well, I lived in Mississippi for 5 years, and we just call that the redneck welcome wagon.
That is it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, Steve, dude.
But see, but my thing is, my wife was like, should we be concerned about it? I'm like, fuck no. That means we'll never have problems.
Bingo. And that's the green light. And that's the green light for, you know what? I don't want to have the touchy conversation with him that, okay, some of my friends are going to come over because you've got a pond on your property.
It's 2 o'clock. You've been drinking. Let's go shoot.
Exactly.
My neighbors don't care.
Well, right. I mean, I'm not kidding when I tell you that Sleepy's ska and punk rock bowling fucking shooting, scootering fucking festival is happening.
It's all going on because the fact is, looking at his property, if you shoot over the pond, there's nothing behind it but miles of forest.
Yeah, nothing.
Nice.
Yeah. This is not going to be in Bruce's backyard shooting across a puddle, where the targets are maximum 50 feet away.
Yeah.
We're talking about like game on. Like,
and if you don't think
you might need a scope,
you don't think there's going to be a remote control boat with something you can shoot on it driving around that fucking pond.
Oh, of course there is.
Yes, please.
All I'm thinking is already that there's going to be remote control boats that are going to have targets behind them.
Fleet of those fuckers. I'm going on Amazon. I can get remote control boats for $10.99.99.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a whole fleet of remote control boats because it's going to be like Skeet, but in the water.
All right, kids. Here, kids.
Right.
You drive the boats.
You drive the boats.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Involving the children.
Yes.
The wives are happy.
Yes.
It's a family affair.
It sounds magical.
Yeah.
I love everything
You
about
sunk
that.
my battleship.
Well, I think in the thought of being smart, you have the boat, but then you have the boat like in the military. They train fighter pilots because there'd be a bomber, but they'd be towing targets.
Yeah, right.
Right. There'd be a fighter plane, but it'd be towing a target. So you're not shooting up the boat; you're shooting up the target being towed by the boat. Yeah.
Or just put something on top
The
of
barge
it.
full of tannerite.
Yes, exactly. The barge full of tannerite. the helium balloons full of acetylene. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can the boat shoot back?
Can the boat shoot back? Oh, that's great. Yeah.
It's only fair.
It is only fair.
Well, if animals shot back, there'd be a lot less hunters in the
Yes,
woods,
there
wouldn't
would.
there?
Hell yeah.
So,
Believe me. Yeah. I think this is a brilliant idea. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No.
I don't see a downside either. So
No, it's good. It's going to be good.
It's going to be one of those things where people are going to go in your backyard and they're going to be like, wow, you built a deck for the pool you're going to build someday. Like, no. That's not a deck. That's our shooting platform.
Yeah, that's the driver's stand and shooting
That's
platform.
the driver's stand and shooting platform. That's exactly right. The boat drivers go over here.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it.
That way they can't accidentally hit the drivers.
No,
you gotta have
they're
them over
safe.
there. Yeah,
you gotta have them out of harm's way. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I fucking
good.
love it. Yeah, and you know what's going to be also going to be good is every fish in that pond is going to have lead poisoning.
Literally, they're going to die of lead poisoning.
They're going to be like,
no.
They're like, what's that? I'm going to
use steel shot. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right.
for the environment.
That's it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, that's
red rust.
That is exactly. The whole lake's going to be rusty.
With my luck, I'd shoot in the lake and it would just empty.
Right.
into your
That's
basement.
raining in China.
The drain from the basement went out underneath
all the way out to the pond. Oh, now it makes sense. Perfect sense. But it does look like a perfect place to be, full of shenanigans.
Yeah, and a garage that actually can support my addiction.
Oh, that garage is
There
big.
were 4 cars in there, and it wasn't even near full.
No, it was nice.
There were 4 cars and a big trailer.
But let me explain something. So, like, it's not like I'm a baller or anything right now, but here's what happened. So we live in Cleveland Heights. Cleveland Heights has a thing called RITA, which is the Regional Income Tax Association.
Right.
Plus, they have ridiculous fucking city taxes that we get nothing for. So the difference from going to the house that we have now, when we're selling it for, obviously everything's higher, so we're getting a decent rate for our house. So we're using that for the down payment, the other whatever. But the difference is $350 a month. It's in fucking crazy. I'm going from like a fucking a tiny little fucking house in the city to an actual nice house with a fucking real garage, and it's $350 a month more. Yeah.
And how much land?
5.5 acres.
Yeah. Perfect.
And the lake is at the very back of it. So
it's the back corner. It's really cool. Yeah.
It's neat. I like it a lot. Like that garage, I was asking the guy because he had a 50th anniversary Mustang or something with like a carbon fiber splitter and all that shit. I was like, I mean, we could probably offer a little more if he throws the car in. My wife was like, no, ain't happening. It is a nice car.
I would trade it for a riding mower, maybe.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's first thing on the list. We've
already been talking about it. My mom has a 42-inch Craftsman thing that she never uses. So I'm like, I'll start with that.
Yeah. It's going to be. Yeah, you're going to get really good at the strategic use of wildflowers. Yeah. It's going to you're going to
have you ever heard of rewilding? We're going to rewild a lot.
That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You're going to become one of those guys who are like, I only mow what I absolutely fucking have to.
Yeah, just mow the front around the house and everything.
Yeah. Even that.
And a little trail out through the back.
I'd be like,
You can let someone come in parts of it and just mow hay after it grows up.
Sure.
Oh,
that's true too. Yeah. But I
or
do
he
think
get a flock of sheep.
That's a great idea.
And just let them eat the grass.
Yeah, goats. Well, no, I watched Clarkson's Farm. Sheep are a problem.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'd go with goats. Goats are like
good.
Indestructible.
They give everything.
Yeah.
Why are sheep's a problem?
Watch Amazon Clarkson's Farm.
Okay.
If you watch that, at first I was like, oh, that's cute. He's doing sheep. And then after watching like 6 episodes, you're like, never do sheep.
No.
Because it's just like, if you want to keep them alive, it's stupid expensive. Yeah. Otherwise, things happen to sheep.
And right now, if you had sheep and they got sick, you can't get Remdesivir or whatever because everybody's taking
Ivermectin.
Yeah, all your sheep are going to have problems because you can't get any ivermectin
Did you hear? I just saw this news article as I came in. So Joe Rogan, Captain Rogan, he got fucking COVID, and he said publicly that he's going to take ivermectin or whatever.
Well, there you go.
He's not going to do the vaccine.
No,
he's
that's
sucking
fine.
down some sheep hormones.
There you go.
He must be heavily invested in that.
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be a pot of gold at the end of that Dumbo.
Absolutely. Well, it's $100 a tube
For ivermectin?
Yeah. So I just read on the internet.
Not when I was a kid. When I was a kid, that was at Farm. That was at Farm and Fleet, and it was like. There was like they'd give you a free
sample,
a doser of it, because that ivermectin shit, it's not expensive. Well, it is when white people start buying it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's only good if you smoke it. You can't just fucking you can't take it in.
Vape it.
You know what? We got to have a whole new rumor that it's only good if you keister it. It only works rectally. That's it.
Anally applied.
Anally applied.
In half-gallon doses.
It works on. Look, that is like in the dairy industry, that's a wash. I mean, that's something that they can literally, when the animals are pest ridden and they've got parasites, that's something that they just go in and hose them down with it, because they know that's the idea is, you want to get rid of those gut-borne parasites and those gut-borne bacteria. So it kind of goes on everything. But Jesus,
black walnut and wormwood tincture does the same thing.
Look, there you go. Bring it on. So there
I
you
don't
have
think
it.
that cures COVID.
Again, I'm gonna.
I don't think ivermectin.
I don't think we need to go all the way to this. I don't think we need to go all the way to the CDC for this one. I'm just gonna say there's been a lot of things people have said cured COVID, and not one of them has turned out to be like, oh yeah, that works.
But how about the light internally? Didn't that work? Did we
no,
try that yet?
No, but the funny part is that I think it's funny that Joe Rogan was
shoving
like
a fluorescent light tube up your ass.
Yeah,
perfect.
No, not fluorescent.
I've heard blowjobs cure COVID.
Oh, okay.
UV
I'm
light.
fucked if I get COVID.
I did want to announce that BMW, we were talking about scramblers. So we were having this discussion about scramblers. And BMW has let some spy photographs out. They're not spy photographs. This bike posed for these pictures. Like, you know, when you see a spy photograph, that shit is like camouflaged and all taped up and got
sticker
cardboard to
bombed
it.
and shit, yeah.
This motherfucking thing has got, like, they spent 10 hours in makeup making this bike look perfect. This is not a spy photograph. This is the BMW R9T Urban GS. Now, keep
Put it up on the screen.
Yeah, put it up on the screen. Now, remember, guys, one of my favorite things about the R9T ever was I love the R9T. It's a beautiful fucking bike.
Yeah.
I've had them. I like them. I really like the R9T. I thought it's got a good character. It's got a
one
good
was kind of
soul.
like bobbed and stuff, right? Like there was nothing left.
We
on
had
it.
one that the guy had removed anything that didn't make it go or stop.
Yeah.
Right? And it was pretty. It was a beautiful bike.
That kit they make.
Yep.
Is that looks like their new R9.
Yep.
Is way better than the R9.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I think is hilarious is a couple of years after the R9 came out, they came out with the R9T because, you know, we know the R9T was the original base model. It's the R9T. It's kick-ass, right? So then they came out with the R9T Urban. And of course, you know, I'm going to call that the R9 Turbine because you can't not call it an R9 Turbine. It's printed right out in words. It's the R9T Urban.
It should be the R9T Suburban.
It should, yes. So now they have, and you're going to love this, because it is now called the R9 Turbine Galandestrasse. So it is not, I'm not kidding.
That just rolls right off your tongue.
I can't make this up. It is the R9 Turbine GS. Yes. So an R9.
What does Galanda mean? I know what Strasse means.
It's land and street. It's country roads. Right. Yeah. It's Galandestrasse is like, you know, whoop, lights going down. Yep. There you go. So
That's
we're
literally on you.
Yeah, it's on you.
So COVID's cured?
Yeah, we're done. Yep, that's it.
It's signing up his ass.
Went down?
But to add Urban to Galandestrasse seems to be like an oxymoron.
Of course
almost.
it is. It's the craziest thing in the world. It would be like being the Street Fighter Scrambler cross country, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. I mean, that's the whole thing. But that being said,
I'm going to street fight my way across the country.
Exactly. It's crazy. But what it is legit. It's got gold rims. Yay. It's got a completely superfluous double scrambler exhaust. So 2 megaphones. And then it's got
one fake, like
2 into 1 into 2.
like the F, like
the
F800's the F800's got one fake can.
Yeah.
Or the 650 or something, right? That was the 650.
There's a whole range of them. They had just one fake muffler.
It was like a tube or something, right? You could put stuff in it.
Well, they sell a kit that you can make it so you can put stuff in it.
Yeah.
But originally it was a resonance chamber. It was just like stuff went into it completely. It was they made up several different reasons for why it existed. None of them were true.
Right.
It was basically so the bike would have symmetry.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't just look at it and think it was a single.
Right.
They'd be like, well, it's a single, but you know, it's not. So this thing though is beautiful, and it's It's the proper, you know, Bavaria paint scheme. As much as I want to fucking hate this bike in 19 different ways, I love this bike. It's fucking beautiful. But the problem is BMW is in a bad state to make it because BMW already has 14 different versions of bikes. Like BMW's series they have 14 different GS models. How many fucking GS models does BMW need to have? Apparently 15.
Right, that's right.
Apparently they need.
They're in the Harley game. The more models they have, the more you have to carry. Minimum number of bikes on your floor.
Look, I don't have to sell Steve 14 bikes if I can sell Steve's dealer 14 bikes, right? So if I sell Steve's dealer 14 bikes, that's how many bikes leave the factory, and that's all I really care about. Then if Steve didn't buy 14 bikes, that's the dealer's fault, right? I blame that on the dealer, and I still cash his checks.
Especially after you add all the stuff to it, and you order it, and you wait for it, and you pay $30,000 for a motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this whole thing is kind of ridiculous. But I do have to say that I'd be okay if they killed off 7 or 8 other GSs and just had this one.
Dan just kicked the can.
Because the R9 Turbine GS is absolutely.
What's it look like?
It looks like that. I mean, we can.
No, you don't have to pick it up, but just like anything.
It looks like that.
I mean, it's a sexy fucking bike.
It's a sexy fucking bike. I mean, we'll drop a thing on it or something or whatever, but I'll put it in the show notes. We'll just put a big picture of it. That'll
It's got
be the
gold
official
rims
one.
like my SP.
Again,
Trump seeds.
look, if you are going to make a bike that is supposed to be off-roady
Yeah.
and you put gold rims on it, I give you 5 bonus points already.
Yep.
I'm already thanking you for doing it. It looks cool. I like the way it looks. I don't care whose name is on the gas tank. Well done, gold rims.
Yeah,
Thank you very
100%.
much. I've got gold colored rims on a Nissan Rasheen, and it looks cool.
It does.
That SCR would look good with gold rims.
It would look good with gold rims. You're absolutely right. Zero did a DSR with gold rims, and it looked fucking cool. Like, it's just one of those weird things. It makes no sense. We're not fooling anyone into thinking they're actually gold or anything, but
Oh, they're not?
no, they're not.
Oh,
No.
jeez.
But that, on the BMW, they might be. I don't
You
know.
know.
There's a chance, right? There's a chance it could be. But anyway,
They have. Never mind.
well done, BMW. Yeah.
Germany's got a lot of spare gold and treasure and stuff still from.
It's got some Jewish person's teeth in it. Yeah. There
Oh, you went there.
I went there, right? So yeah, we could do that here. But super fun, yeah. Look,
We didn't. Hey, it happened. I'm just saying that the shit happened.
You're not denying anything.
I didn't design those showers. It is a totally different kind of plumbing. That motorcycle, I think
Two in
they
the front,
nailed
two in the
it.
back. Rusty hatchet.
It's God, man.
Rusty Hatchet?
No. He's not going to say that one again. Yeah, that's not going to be. Yeah, that's not going to. We're not going to float that one out there. Maybe later when the microphones are off, that could happen. But anybody have any interesting events coming up? Because we're getting into that time of the year.
We could talk a little about the event that just happened. I mean, I don't know if anybody
fire
really
away.
got to participate too much in Mods versus Rockers. I just jumped in on the tail and did the
Yeah.
after party at the Little Rose on Lorraine Avenue. Nice little place.
Cute little bar, yeah.
I didn't
cute
get a
bar.
chance to go down to Skidmark or the
Crawford Auto
Western
Museum.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know the people put a lot of work into it, and I know that they were trying to do a cool thing, but in the city of Cleveland, in the summertime, we have a limited amount of nice days.
Yeah. There are.
The last thing I want to
very-
do is be indoors for 3 hours on one of these days,
It is
especially on a ride.
And you know what?
It was 90 degrees. It felt like 105 that day.
Oh, was
Right.
it?
Yeah. So in the breeze on your motorcycle.
I didn't get to go in the museum. I had to leave.
Oh shit.
And I was like, I wanted to go in there and cool up.
Oh, just to have the air conditioning. Yeah.
I wonder if they had much of a ride. I don't know. I didn't hear from anybody.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't see any information about a scheduled ride. I didn't have any options because I had planned to go over there and at least show my face because we're sponsoring it. And I figured I'd go over and show my face. I got here at 8:30 in the morning. We opened at 11, and there were already people here at 8:30. So at 8:30 in the morning, we started having to, entertain guests. Like we had to talk.
them
Why
bikes.
weren't they supposed to go to Skidmark? They
No,
just assumed.
Not rally participants, customers.
Oh, customers.
Right.
Oh.
Well, people who were dressed as customers.
Right.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
didn't prove
no
themselves
money, just
yet.
problems.
Yeah,
They
right,
didn't get
yeah.
that designation yet.
But
They were,
we sold 4 bikes. Like we were humping, and we were humping all day. Like we close at 6 on Saturdays, and I was dealing with people until 7:30. So our day on Saturday went from 8:30 in the morning until 7:30. So it was a barn burner of a day. Like we were all stupid busy, and that was one of those things where lunchtime came and went, and we were like, shit, we didn't get to eat today. And that's, we have those days. Like that does happen here, and it does usually happen on a Saturday. So it's tough for us to make Saturday events. People who work here, it's real tough to make Saturday events.
sure.
Speaking of food, the Little
So you're
Rose
gonna
had
stop
really good
closing on
food there.
Saturdays?
Yeah,
All
they
vegan
did.
menu.
Yeah,
they did?
yeah,
I
it
got
was
the
really-
Monster Tots, smashed those, $3 Labatt's.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good.
Very
good
And
place.
that was perfect for me. I got to see like all the usual suspects were
Right.
all there. Darby, Sharon Arthur showed up.
Yeah.
No Amanda, but Mark showed up.
Okay.
Who was the Santa Claus guy that?
Mark was like, everybody's asking about Amanda. Nobody cares about me.
Yeah, no kidding.
What's wrong with just me?
Right. Mark's a great guy.
I know.
He's a very cool guy. He doesn't have boobs, but he's a very, very good guy.
I almost said that to him. And I'm like,
It's like, well, there you go. But it is true. I mean, it's like when we have those events and we do that stuff, Amanda's always there, right? I mean, she's a consistent rider. Like she's historically come out to that stuff. So
I bumped into John Frusciante or whatever from Skidmark.
Friscat.
Friscat, that's it.
John Friscat.
Friscat. So
Yeah.
we used to work at Jack Prince together for like 5 or 6 years together. And so I was there when he was like running.
that was a very good conversation.
It was fucking great, man. Yeah.
Friscat's a great dude. So
Solid
he's,
guy, man.
He's one of those cats. Like if you know Robot in San Diego, like if you're a friend of his, you understand Like there are people that are just really good at doing a bunch of stuff, and Bailey's another one that our friends in San Diego is just really good at doing a bunch of stuff. And Friscat's that same way. Friscat's that perfect utility player. You're like, okay, I just bought a building. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's 9 floors. I don't know what's going on. I need to hire somebody. Friscat.
Yep.
That's the guy you should have hired out at the plant.
Yeah.
As opposed to John. That's it.
But no, but like the funny part is,
I don't think Friscat's looking for work.
You?
Yeah.
No, he's going to NASA.
You're a welfare case.
He's been retired for 10 years. He's 38 years old or something.
Yeah,
so
he's a little older than that, but yeah.
Somewhere around there, 40, something, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was just talking about he's probably going to go to work for NASA and do some stuff for them.
Yeah,
But the crazy part about the guy is he is the most like, I don't know how you'd call it, like average Joe looking dude, like this,
absolutely,
like hat, pants, whatever. But meanwhile, he's like
2 eyes, front of his face, very normal.
but he's like the most. But the funny part is like you look at some dude with a mohawk and a rancid fucking leather jacket and stuff. You're like, that dude's punk. No, John's like the most punk rock dude I fucking know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he doesn't care about rule. Like he'll be like, well, we'll just fucking fix the building.
Right.
And you're like, but the state said we can. He's like, hey, we'll just fix the building.
Fix it.
Did you see how somehow we missed the mosh pit at Mid-Ohio? There was a video. Somebody,
so down by the track. Yeah. So there's this whole other group that started up another party. So there's now 2 parties at Mid-Ohio.
So how do we not know about it? This is letting us down that somebody didn't tell us about this.
Well, it's okay. I mean, we were never, for a lack of fucking entertainment,
no, of course not.
But
but
where we were,
I'm a little upset that we didn't know about a second party.
Well, they did have kind of a metal band going on over there. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very cool. I walked down there. It's fucking going. But it's the same thing. It's like it's just a bunch of people hanging out, and then somebody brought amplification.
Yeah.
And so there was a whole scene going on. It's kick ass. Yeah. So it was really great. It's badass. So I mean, and I think the more of that, the better. There can never be too much of that.
There's got to be a ska party.
Did you get those horns?
Well, we'll talk
getting
about
the band back together.
We're getting the fucking world's worst band. Yeah. We're gonna work really hard to play one song by Mid-Ohio next year, and that song is "Careless Whisper." So there you go. That's the. There you go. Boy, the wind is kicking up out here. So
the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no.
All right. Because they were up to like $1,000.
Yeah, they bid up crazy high. Yeah, because that's the way everything is right now. Like the steal a deal thing is done. Everybody's got a little too much money and they're spending it.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like it goes from place to place. Like Craigslist, you used to be able to get deals.
Yes, exactly.
And everybody figures it out, and then there's no deals.
Right.
And then you go to Gov Deals.
Oh, Gov Deals.
You used to be able to get deals, not anymore.
And all the different deep underground versions of Gov Deals that I play around on, people are paying way more than shit costs new.
Right.
It makes no sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense to me either.
I looked at an Airstream trailer the other day, and it's about a 10-year-old Airstream. When it was new, it was $23,000 10 years ago, and this one had been like in a lot, like an impound lot. It had been an impound lot for like 6 years, and somebody bid that thing up to $9,500, and you're like, this is sight unseen. This is like sitting in a lot in Nebraska, for fuck's sake. And why are people bidding so goddamn high? Oh, because it's a camper. Right?
Because campers were fires. They were like motorcycles. Exactly. People bought the shit out of them, and it's hard to find them.
So you can't find anything. So if you need a camper,
I almost bought a loader.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a little bit too much money. Nobody bid on it.
Right.
Which is amazing because they've been bidding the crap out of these
But
things.
That's how you know it was too much money.
Yeah. So then I sent them an email and I said, hey, would you take
make
$4,500 for it? And then they raised it to $3,500, and they relisted it.
Yeah.
So it might be worth it at $3,500, but it's like an obscure one.
Right.
You can't get parts for it.
See?
So,
there you go.
It has Fiat and Ellis in the name.
Get the fuck out of here.
No,
but it's made.
You want to mention that because there's still 14 days left on the auction. You just blew it for me, bro.
So if you're out there and you're looking for a good loader, go on Gov Deals, www.govdeals.
Looking for anything in the way of a loader.
It's the one that's located in Fostoria, Ohio.
Oh, my God. Because you know what?
I'd be happy to go look at it for you.
That's one of those great things when you do get...
I'm going to smash you with it when I get it.
Pick up a...
that's the only reason you want it. The only reason he wants a loader is to smash
break things. That's all he wants to do with it.
Ride right through my house. And I'm
Into
seriously,
the
I want to ride
basement.
You're gonna go into the basement.
Yes.
Didn't you watch
And then
that?
I want to
whole-
like this. I just want to like.
What was that movie called?
He's going to build
Tracks?
Killloader.
Killdozer. Yeah, he's gonna build Killdozer, and he's gonna end up in somebody's basement, and they're gonna get him because of that. That's how that guy died. He died because the shit overheated because he went into a basement that he didn't know was there.
Learn from
I know the
mistakes.
basement's there though, so I'm already one step ahead.
Just push everything into the basement.
That
And
is
then
Take it out.
That's a ride that Steve and I are going to have to do someday. Go
Yeah.
to the Killdozer Museum.
The Killdozer
I'll
Museum.
do that.
Did you guys see the documentary Tread?
Yeah, Tread.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's
I know
fucking
the Tread.
amazing,
Just
dude.
watch the documentary. You
Yeah.
won't need to go to the museum. Yeah.
He was a pissed off motherfucker, man.
Yep. And he was a pissed off motherfucker who could weld.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the secret
How many
right there.
sticks did he go through?
A lot. It's
Dude, it took him
crazy.
months
Yeah.
and months and months. And it was
Yeah.
a layer of steel, then cement, and then steel.
When you watch Tread, and he's basically like, yeah, like I wasn't really trying to hide it. Like,
Nope. And it's his voice because
Right.
he left his manifesto on
Yeah.
a tape.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, so there's
yeah.
like a 2.5 hour audio
Yeah.
recording of him explaining why he did it,
Yep.
who the assholes of the city were.
Right. Calls them out by name, and they all get interviewed individually.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that guy's a twat waffle. Yeah, that guy totally had it coming.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The only thing that's sad about the entire thing is the guy, like, he did go on his rampage, but what's sad about it is the guy ended up dying because the ultimate end for that would have been, you knew this was suicide by cop. Of course it was.
Yeah.
But he came pretty fucking close
Yeah,
to
getting
just
away.
being like, there's no getting away with it. Sooner or later, you have to get out of Killdozer.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad recon.
Bad recon.
Well, another
exactly.
thing, so
no exit strategy.
He was a pretty prolific snowmobiler for
Yep.
backcountry snowmobiling.
Everybody loved the guy. Yeah.
And he made bumpers. So like he had a muffler shop.
Yeah.
So that's where he did all his work. And so he made like out of muffler tubing, he made bumpers. And so they said like nobody would even take you seriously if you didn't have one of his fucking bumpers
Yeah.
on your sled.
In the community, he was well known and respected in the community.
Yeah.
Just straight up dude. Yep. But eventually,
Talk to us, Phil. If things start reading really tough, if the
right,
sea comes
right.
down on you,
we're going to talk to you. Right. All of a sudden,
just about the exit strategy.
right.
Everything else is good.
Everything else is fine. We're going to have to talk about the exit
I mean,
strategy.
all he had to do was put a trap door in the bottom, and then you just drive
okay.
over something and let it keep going.
Oh, that would be the move. The
Yeah.
move would be to have a pit already set up,
Yeah.
camouflaged,
You
and
dri-
just drive over it, drop yourself into the pit, let
Let
the
it-
thing just keep on going.
Yeah.
Hide
It
out in
would
your
be-
spider hole.
It would be miles, and they'd all be miles away when the thing finally stopped
Yeah, 'cause
running.
let's
or
get
Come
Come
whatever.
out dressed as an old lady.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. or have special effects so you look like you were run over by it. So you're all bloody and fucked up.
Oh fuck that.
Help me.
Right. Oh yeah. That would be the jam.
Wearing somebody else's skin.
A pig with a stick of dynamite inside.
Oh man. That. Well, I mean, how do you follow Tread? That's it. You can't follow
Yeah,
Tread for
no.
fuck's sake. But when the autumn time is coming up, the folks at Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, you know, they moved the event. It used to be September 27th weekend, always was like the third or last weekend in September. They moved it to May, right? So we all did,
Yeah.
you know, we all did DGR in May. And we were like, oh, they moved that to May because, you know, the weather's really rotten in Australia in September. Sure, that's why they did it. Nope. You guys want to feel... You ever feel like you just want to get hurt? You want to get stabbed a little? You want to feel like maybe you've been taken advantage of just a little bit? Do you know what's scheduled to happen in September?
Another DGR?
The DGR for cars.
Oh.
Yep, that's right. The boys from the DGR are doing DGR for cars. Last weekend in September.
Distinguished Gentleman's Drive.
You got it. It's
So
the
they-
Distinguished
for-
Gentleman's Drive.
So they made motorcycles a second-class citizen?
You know, no, what they're going to do both of them and make
No, but
more
what
money.
I'm saying is that
Yeah.
they bumped the motorcycles for the cars.
No, I think they moved the motorcycles to a more temperate.
Right, better climate.
Oh,
Yep, exactly. So I think what they did was they said we can fuck this cat two ways. and that's what they did. I mean, I think they figured out a way that it turns out like $93 billion is nice, but like $186 billion is better. I wonder how we could do
We're
that.
going to get all the like the C4
You think motorcycle guys have money?
Corvette guys in there.
Wait till you get into the car guys.
And that's exactly it.
Now, what classifies as distinguishedly dressed in a car? Is it wearing your like satin Corvette jacket with all the
An Ascot for
You almost
a
have
bow in your mullet.
You almost have to have a convertible. Because who's
scarf.
going to see you otherwise?
Yeah, right.
This is all, and none of this is wrong. You guys are.
T-taps.
Cam is all excited now, but he can't decide whether to take his 1984 Camaro or the new yellow fucking Mustang. It's a problem now.
It could be.
He got rid of his vet.
No, he bought a Mustang though, so he's got a vet and a Mustang.
He's got a vet and a Mustang. Yeah.
Well, he's got multiple Mustangs.
Oh, because you said Camaro. I thought.
Oh no, he's just Camaro.
Oh.
So that's a real thing that is happening, and that's real. And I thought when I first got the notice about it, I was like, oh wow, this is really, really probably in poor taste. It's not. It's real. It's called the Distinguished Gentleman's Drive. Now, would you like to know the rules?
No.
Rules, schmools.
There are rules. You cannot have a DGR without having rules.
We don't follow rules.
Right. And it is called the DGD. Thank you for asking. Right. So far, there are 1,621 registered drivers. And there's many countries available. They're doing it all over the fucking place. Obviously, just like the DGR, it'll be happening anywhere people are willing to donate money. So I'm sure the operational expenses of this are going to be amazing. But it is one of those things. Vehicle eligibility. Ready? The criteria for vehicles.
4 wheels.
First,
Must be built pre-1980.
Oh wow! So you actually have to have an old car.
Vehicles built before 31st of December 1979 are eligible to participate. The vehicles must be currently registered and insured. The vehicles must be in safe mechanical condition. Now, here's where they get you. Identical run-on models. Vehicles designed and initially manufactured before 1980. These run-on models are the exact same shape, bodywork, and chassis as the pre-1980s model. So if you can think of certain things, I don't know, Triumphs,
Chevy Citation,
MGs. There were a lot of vehicles that were designed in the 70s and built in the 70s that continued on well into the 80s that are there. Your vehicle must be under 3 tons. That's a rule. They put that in there. Your vehicle must be under 3 tons.
What if there's a sweet ass old truck or something?
Under 3 tons, 6,000 pounds. However, you're also allowed to have period correct replicas. So recreations that externally are visually correct within the original design, bodywork, and production of pre-1980s models vehicles.
I could take my Gazelle.
It means kit cars. It basically means kit cars. It means kit cars are okay. If you built yourself a Ferrari Aero, or if you built yourself one of those
Pinto frame,
Volkswagen Speedster, Porsche, fake, don't lean on any part of the car thing.
Right.
If you built one of those, you're good to go, man. That's fine. So, but that is for real. That's what they're doing.
Now, what if you have an HHR? Because that is
again. I'm going to say that I completely agree with. This is old Mini versus new Mini.
Yeah.
Right? This is old Porsche versus new Porsche. And be like, well, I think what we're just going to call that is the 911 rule.
Yeah.
So it's the 911 rule. It's because, oh, well, what year's your 911? Oh, it's a 97. Oh, but it's the same as the 911. It's still a 911.
Right.
So the 911s were built starting in the 60s and, they go all the way through or whatever. So this is that whole thing, it's the 911. I got a feeling this is the because, that's the inverted porcupine, the pricks on the inside. And when we talk about that's the people they didn't want to exclude from this event, because those are the guys who are going to go out and be like, I'm doing the DGD. as they're putting on their,
Buffy.
lace back fucking driving gloves.
With their Mont Blanc pen in their fucking pocket, like driving gloves on.
Absolutely. So there's going to be a lot of tweed in this motherfucker, but it's there. So that's a thing. DGD, or the Distinguished Gentleman's Drive, that exists, and it's going on September. I think they might be planning on doing it this year. I think they're, kind of getting a late start to it because, it's going to be like now, pretty much.
Should we crash it?
With all the mini cars.
You know what? I'm looking through it right now, and I don't see. I am not seeing. So the United States, they've got Albuquerque, New Mexico is going, Austin, Texas going, Baltimore, Boston, Dallas, Evansville, Fort Lauderdale. I don't see anything in here for Cleveland. Nothing in here for Cleveland. So, yeah, and I mean, again, if your car's pre-1980. They don't realize that American cars before 1980 were garbage. I mean, there's a very long window of time between like 68, 69. Shit started to drop off pretty quick after that. And then that whole run up until mid 80s, cars were just really, really bad. And I do agree. Like if you pull up in a 79 Dodge Diplomat,
Volare.
That's a classic. Oh, a Plymouth Volare? Bring it on, man. Yeah.
I have a line on one. I should get it right now.
I mean, look,
so I can participate.
It's got the desirable slant 6 in it.
Did that come with the Corinthian leather seats?
It has Corinthian leather too.
It has Corinthian leather and T-tops. Wow.
Bob, do you remember the glove commercial? They'd be like,
oh yeah.
What were they called? There was a
Corinthian leather.
Yeah. What was that? There were
so this is Ricardo
Isotoners.
But Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, Ricardo Montalban was the guy that did. He was a paid spokesperson for Dodge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Literally, Mr. Rourke from Fantasy Island was the spokesperson for Dodge when I was growing up, and everything was just this like dripping ethnicity off of his voice, and just with fine Corinthian leather interior.
Tattooed.
Or he'd say with a rich Corinthian leather. And you just know that, like, oh man,
what the fuck is Corinthian leather?
It doesn't.
Vinyl. Vinyl. Yeah. It's cat from China. Why? Why do you ask? Meow.
And what do the Corinthonians have to do with it? I mean, that's an excellent. What is Corinthian leather?
It's kosher vinyl.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I can tell you that Ricardo Montalban leaned on plenty of fucking Dodges.
Yeah.
Leaning on them with his giant wide polyester lapels.
Oh, yeah.
Massive lapels with rich Corinthian leather
his paunch
interior.
haircut. He had the paunch fucking.
It was coined by the advertising agency Bozell in 1974 to describe the leather upholstery used in certain Chrysler luxury vehicles. Although merely a marketing concept, it suggested a premium product. And you're exactly right.
My favorite commercial was the Arrow commercials.
Which
Me
one?
and my Arrow.
What?
Taking the high road.
Oh, really? I will have to look that up.
So what is Corinthian leather actually?
It's vinyl.
It's just
No, it's leather, but it's just a type. It was a marketing term for a particular. It was a marketing term coined by Dodge to identify the type of leather that they used. But again, so it means it's the same company, by the way. Bozell is the same company that came up with the term pork, the other white meat. So
that was a winner, though.
Yeah. So there you go. The same guy that came up with pork, the other white meat, is the same guy that came up with Corinthian.
Fine.
Yes, exactly.
And don't forget Carlos's favorite line, right? It's like, it's not how you look, it's not how you feel, it's how you look. And you look marvelous.
Yes, exactly.
He got laid more times with that line, that bastard. I tried it. I got my face slapped.
Did that guy? I think. What was the guy's name that did that? Because I think he got an AVN award.
Well, it was Billy Crystal.
No. Like, the guy that got the award.
Fernando was. What's that?
The guy that got the award for the pork, the other white meat.
Oh, Bozell.
Bozell, because they also did a thing for the AVNs.
Oh yeah,
and it was like the butt, the other vagina.
The other vagina. That's awful. Okay, and now remember to ride fast and drive chances. I can't possibly. I was trying to think of how to tie it into the Distinguished Gentleman's Drive.
Sure.
But it's there you go. Just drive her home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Ride fast and take chances, people. Play us out of here, John. That motherfucker went off the rails. Red button.